Hello, everyone, and welcome to the EPAN to the UKV pod. I'm your host, Drew Pitzer, and joining me today is my co-host, Josh Carpenter. We want to thank you guys for taking your time out of your day to watch our pod. We are just two former collegiate basketball players with major ties to not only Kanawha Valley, but the Eastern Panhandle. We're going to provide a detailed analysis on all things hoop. We hope you enjoy the true beauty of basketball. And Josh, what do you think that we stand for on this pod?
I think it's a cool dynamic, man. I think just two former hoopers that fell in love with the game, fell out of love with the game, made a lot of decisions, right and wrong. I think it's a unique perspective for us to have. I think it'll be a cool journey we're about to go on, man. I'm excited to do this.
For sure. And like you said, man, our background, obviously you're from the southern end of the state. I'm from the Eastern Panhandle. And we met each other back, in the summer of 2016 at Salem University at D2, about 15 minutes outside of Clarksburg, West Virginia. And I remember meeting you for the first time. And obviously I saw the talent, 6'5", a guy that could shoot, rebound, you play defense, block shots. You obviously had a very high basketball IQ. And we've been close ever since then. And, ever since 2016, we'd always share information about basketball, whether that's tweets, Instagram, Facebook. We would always just talk about the game. And we both went through times, Josh, where, basketball definitely wasn't at the forefront. If anything, we kind of try to block it out. But when you truly love something, my brother, you always come back to it. Ain't that right?
Exactly. I mean, you always come back to it. I like how you said, man, first time I seen you, I was like, this guy's an Energizer bunny. I kind of already knew. I didn't know much about Musselman, but I knew like your all style of play. I knew you being undersized, how you played. So I was like, oh, this guy's a junkyard dog. He's physical. And I mean, when we were at Salem, I was a kid. I was like 18 years old. So I was like, man, like I'm here with all grown men. So it was a learning curve. I kind of just had to find where I could fit in there and use my role. But yeah, man, I'm glad that we got this friendship, and I'm glad that we came back to love the game again, man. I'm excited that we're doing it like in an authentic, genuine way, man. So I'm excited to get this going, bro.
And I feel like you undervalue yourself. Obviously, you had offers. You could have went to West Liberty. I mean, you were the all tournament team when we played out in Quincy. And the thing is, at that time, I remember you were struggling with loving the game. You were kind of falling out of it. I mean, you already made your decision. I'm not coming back here. I'm done with hoops. Like I'm just ready to move on with my life. And yeah, and like we got in a car accident, back in January. And I really think that enforced, like, hey, I'm just ready to go home, start working on my professional career, which is understandable, admirable. I mean, D2 basketball, sometimes you got 50 to 100 people in the stands. It's not how it is, in the WVSSAC, where on every Friday night, these rivalries are selling out the gyms. When you're at Salem University and on Thanksgiving Day, you're playing in Quincy, Illinois, and there's 17 people in the stands. If you don't love the game of basketball, you're not going to even be able to show up. And and I think the difference between you and I at that point is I was infatuated with the game,
You
and
love
you
the
were kind
game.
of falling. Yeah, you were falling out of love with the game. But
Yeah,
at
I
the
mean, I
same
can add to
sense,
that too. I think that what made it tougher on my perspective, well, and yours too, where we were at Salem, we weren't in the MEC, right? We weren't in the Mountain East Conference. So we didn't have games where we lived. We didn't have any games except home games. So it wasn't like we were going an hour down the road playing a game every day. We had no conference, bro. So we were traveling everywhere across the country, the worst transportation, the worst hotels, the worst this, far every week. I mean, we didn't have a break. So I think that made it worse. I mean, if I was anywhere in the MEC, my college experience would have been so much better. Which, I mean, not to say it wasn't good on the court. I mean, it was still good on the court, but I think if we could have had a conference, we just needed a conference. I mean, we were going.
when I first came to Salem, we were in the GMAC. So we were playing with, Kentucky Wesleyan, Trevecca Nazarene. Quincy was in there, obviously. We had Cedarville. So we were competing for a championship, you know what I mean? And when you you turn to an independent, which Salem has been for the last about 10 years now. Now they actually work with the USCAA, which is that's a 1-2 tier kind of small college conference, where you can still win like a national championship and stuff, but it's not a D2 national championship because that's reserved obviously to people that are in conferences.
I think you need a regional. Your conference needs to be location based. I mean, like the MEC is a great conference, bro. You're not like you have two teams in Charleston. The other teams are an hour away. You might have 3 or 4 hours for the farthest team. that workload on somebody is a lot easier, bro, to get that adjustment. You get that adjustment was a lot easier. We never had a break from 6 in the morning to, I mean, it just wasn't great experience, man. So halfway through, I was like, I just knew like this wasn't going to work for me.
I mean, if you think about literally the first week when we're starting to get into the 20 and 20, and for your viewers that don't understand what a 20 and 20 is, it's 20 suicides in 20 minutes, but there's a catch. So every suicide has to be underneath 32 seconds, and you have 28 seconds to rest. So, for example, Josh, when we would start the suicide, you'd have until 1930 or 1928 to finish. If you didn't make it before that mark, it was 1927, you cross the line, it doesn't count. You get those 28 seconds to rest. That clock hits 19, you go again, and you keep going until the clock hits 0. But starting up, we did that for 5 weeks. So the first week was 12 and 12, 14 and 14, 16 and 16, 18 and 18, and 20 and 20. That's before you even get a jersey. So I tell kids all the time, like, everybody wants to play college basketball. Everybody
But yeah.
wants to go to the next level. But if you don't truly love the game, like, you can like the game. Like, you like the game, but you were talented enough that you got away with it until you actually fell back in love with it, like how we are now.
Mm.
With me being undersized, like I said, I had to love it. If I didn't love it, I didn't have a chance even seeing the floor. So that's just kind of my opinion on
No,
it. You know
I
what I
agree.
mean?
And I think what's like undervalued as well is like you need good mentors, you need good coaches, you need good like it's their job. Like they have a lot of responsibility to where it's their responsibility to help these kids transition. So like I put a lot
Right.
of weight, like, yeah, I love the game a lot, but when I started not loving the game, I feel like it was because situations or it was because certain like coaches or like just certain things like will make you like test your will where it's almost like at one point it was like this isn't even about basketball no more. I didn't like the living situation. I didn't like the schedule. I didn't like it was never really like I never had a problem working out. I never had a
Right.
problem going to the gym for practice in open gyms. It was kind of the extracurricular stuff that I was like, man, this just isn't how a program is supposed to be ran. And when you evaluate Salem, it was just like at that time, which I don't know how it is now, it just wasn't getting ran from top to bottom. And I go to school there right now. It wasn't getting ran the way that an established D2 basketball team should be ran.
Right. I mean, like, you look at Fairmont, you look at West Liberty. I mean, you look at Shepherd last year. You look at all these teams that are actually in MEC that are, performing well. Like West Liberty for the last 15 years is going to be an Elite Eight, Final Four team every year. I mean, it's guaranteed. It's because they built that culture. At Salem, when I got recruited by a whole different coach, his name was Randy Unger. He was a bald
Yeah.
man with red eyes. So
Mhm.
when I got there, the whole culture was different. It was hard nosed, tough. Like, we wanted to be physical with everybody. We didn't try to score a lot of points. We wanted to play defense. There's a reason why he went 4-22. So they, fired Randy and they brought in Adam Williams. And Adam's philosophy, obviously, is we got into that Indiana type. It was fast paced motion, a lot of different flex options for us to score. But when I looked at our personnel that year, we had talent. I mean, top to bottom, we had guys that can score, but that still didn't even fit us as well, because as a coach, you have to identify your team's strengths and their weaknesses. We were severely undersized. So if we're going to get in a running match with everybody, if we're not shooting 40% from three and we're not getting to the free throw line and creating turnovers, we're just going to get ran out of the gym. And that's just what happened.
Like I was saying a minute ago, I think the school itself and the way that it's ran, like I think that trickles down. So I think like I don't even put a lot of criticism on like I think the system's cool, the offense is cool, the coaches are cool. I think like just where the school is, how the school's ran, what the schedule is, where you're at location wise, like all those things, if it's worse, it makes the whole journey harder. Like
I agree.
so I think Salem itself kind of made it worse. I think the school itself, the location, like I think that's what made it hard.
Right. And I agree with you, because like you said, it's one way in, one way out. You really have to be hyper obsessive about the game, because there was two things to do there. There was either one, you go to the gym, work out, or two, you go do things that are going to get you in trouble. You know what and most of the time, 90% of the time, we were there. We were either in the gym or we in the calf. We weren't doing anything crazy. There's 24 hours in a day. There's only so much time you can be in the gym. And I was one of those guys. I was putting 6 to 8 hours in the gym a day.
Oh, you're in
I'd
the
go to
gym
the
all day.
gym. Yeah, like I loved it. But I also loved doing other things that caused me, to get in trouble. So at the same sense, no matter what, if you don't have, like you said, that mentorship in that direction, like those coaches that we had, and again, I'm not, some of those guys are, high level D1 coaches at this point. Like it wasn't because their knowledge or their lack of knowledge. It was just because I think they struggled with known personnel, time and location, and who we were as a team. I mean, we were seriously young. We had two seniors, and to be honest, they weren't our leaders. I was breaking down the huddle every day, and it was, and I was a sophomore, so we didn't have true direction from top to bottom.
No, and that's like a subject we'll get into probably 100
Mhm.
times, but that's like the program itself kind of like doesn't have as much to do with like if you get in a situation, it's like people will talk about college coaches. If you go to like a job that you don't have any chance of succeeding at, right? It's called like a graveyard job is what they call it.
Right,
So like Salem, their potential at that point, their ceiling was very low
right,
from a school standpoint to athletics. So it's like you can't blame the players because who they were, where they got recruited. They've been recruited by another coach. You can't blame the current staff that came in when we were there.
right.
It's just, I just think you have to have an established, respectable university. If we're talking about
And if
college,
you Yeah, and if you don't have that, like, how do you even attain that?
it's a
Like,
junior college.
it's a junior college that's a Division II school. Like, if you ever watch Last Chance U, it's essentially like that. I mean, we playing with guys that are felons. Like, there's this one guy named Chan Williams Bay who is actually a convicted double murderer out of Massachusetts. He was living in the dorms with us, and he was at the time a cool guy, stuff like that. We had no idea, but some of these characters and stuff that were brought here was because it was their last chance. They had no other chance. I mean, we played with this guy named God's Power, and he was originally on Syracuse's roster, but he had
Right.
other issues, whether it was academically or personally. He ended up at Salem, and he never even played a single minute at Salem, just because, again, it's a school that doesn't really have a lot to offer, but it gives you a chance. And sometimes when you only have one chance left, you got to take it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's every level. We'll get into all the in future
Hmm.
episodes, but I mean that's from high school to college to everything, bro. You have to have a respectable organization first,
For
and
sure.
to build that in today is harder than ever to build that. So that's why I say like, I don't really put blame on the coaches because it's like you put Nick Saban at the worst high school football team in West Virginia. Like he's going to instill a lot of mentality, but it's just
But
like
if you don't got
how
the
much
talent,
can you do?
yeah, if you don't got the talent, I mean, there's only so much you can do. Like, if you have, say you're in a battle, right, and you got guys high caliber guns, yada yada. You just got a knife with you. You're gonna lose 99 times out of 100 unless you could just spear somebody right in the head. It's just how it goes. You have to have the thing to back you up. Like, it doesn't matter what you got up here if you don't have the athleticism or that the athletes or the players to win games.
You got to have support
Yeah,
from the university. You got to have support from the athletes themselves. You got to make them like things to motivate them to want to come to the gym. Like everybody's not just a self starter. There's a million type of athletes out
no,
there. So
no, you're right.
Salem to me, like our experience there to like wrap that experience up, I feel like character building, JUCO experience, necessary in growth in our adult lives. I'm thankful for the experience. Like I don't
Yep.
regret the experience, and I don't think like things would have worked out the way they have if we didn't go through those experiences. So I'm cool with Salem. I like Salem.
Again, yeah, I mean, like, it's an acquired taste. So, and we'll move forward. But with you, if you want to go ahead and kind of give the viewers, a background of who you were before Salem, because you were a dog, my friend.
Yeah, so I mean, I started going to basketball camps probably 6, 7 years old. Went to Cedar Grove Middle School, smallest middle school in the whole Kanawha County. I mean, 11 football players on the roster, like just enough to play. Basketball the same way. Sixth grade basketball, never won a game, barely scored 10 points. My family helped me start my own AAU team fifth, sixth grade. All local kids from our area. We started playing AAU tournaments all around the state. We went 0-100 my first year in AAU. Like we didn't win one game, bro. Seventh grade, I started at Cedar Grove. I started having like 30-point games. I started having 20-point games. We won like one game still, seventh grade. Eighth grade, different breed. I scored like 20 points every game. We won like 3 or 4 games. We beat DuPont, which I mean is like the most notoriously school in this edge of the valley, obviously. So coming
Yeah,
from a
everybody
school
knows
like
why.
that school that I went to, Cedar Grove, has never beat them in my lifetime in anything. Like they're not beating them anything academics to the janitor's not out sweeping the other janitor, bro. Like it's just not happening.
Right, right.
So
Top to bottom.
yeah, so that's just we were just basically like I grew up at the school that was just like the biggest athletic joke of the county. Like that's just those kids can't help it. They're not good. Like that's just where it was at. They never won a game. Like so we won like 3 or 4 games my eighth grade year, which was probably like the hardest things to ever accomplish at that school. Then kept playing AAU, started like networking with the other schools because after I had that good middle school career, I started getting respect from the other schools around us. So they were like, "Oh, Cedar Grove has a guy that can play ball now. So we started networking. We started collaborating on our AAU team. Our team started getting better. Long story short, AAU team ends up being like finished in Sweet 16 our last year at the Nationals AAU. So we went from never winning a game my first year in 5th grade to it took that whole time. But we made a straight local team, Sweet 16 AAU. High school career, didn't get played freshman year, started at the end of the season. Sophomore year started center. Junior year averaged 25 a game. Senior year averaged like 12, 13 a game. Best live offer, commit, decommit, Salem, and then a bunch of accolades in between. And then after that, man, we talked about this before, fell out of love with basketball. I was like, man, I'm burnt out on this. I don't want to do this no more. I did a bunch of dumb kid stuff. I was like, this is just stupid. And now we're here.
Right. And I know you kind of glossed over that 25 a game your junior year.
It's
But I
crazy.
mean, the type of talent that you're playing, obviously, you were going up against Huntington, who was a 2-time state champion at that time, back to back, and you were out there grilling them, giving 30 a night. I mean, so and at the end of the day, you were the number one option. Obviously, you had other guys that were there, but the team went as you went. And I feel like I saw that talent when you first got there to Salem. I was like, man, this kid can definitely play. Really want to play. And I think that's where you were struggling because obviously you had that West Lib commit. And I think that would have been the perfect system for you. Obviously 6'5", you could have been a 2 and a 3, shot the ball. You could have easily shot the ball 40-45% because, you had to stay healthy. And
then going into that senior year, I mean, I had a lot of coaches in my ear, and when the AAU season ended, Westlip had me commit early. Sign early. They had the early sign. They were like, we have to have you sign early. Well, my AAU season was going very well, like it always was. And I was back and forth. Marshall's assistant coaches would call me all the time, like, hey, we're trying to see if we can get a roster spot. Well, then it's like teams like Navy are calling the coach still. So my coaches are like, man, you're good enough to where you're not going to get passed up by a low level D1. So I'm like, well, look, worst case scenario, I'll just go to another D2 and I'll grill West Liberty like I did when I visited them. So I was like, all right, I'll decommit, get a D1 offer. It didn't happen because I averaged 13 points coming from 25 points, but it's
y'all's team was
misleading.
better.
Yeah, I mean, 2 or 3 guys that were at single A transferred to our school that I had played AAU with. They were some of the best players in their high school's history. They came to us and we won. I think we went 14-9 maybe my senior year, which is the second best record of all time at Riverside. And they haven't won double digits since then. So they haven't.
I know.
And before that, we had won my junior and senior year. We won double digits win seasons. Before that, they hadn't had double-digit win seasons in over a decade. And now since, they haven't had double-digit wins in a decade since.
But that's what I'm saying. The most, I went and did a little bit of research through Max Preps. The most wins that they have since you left is 7. And last year they had 6. I mean, last year we got the opportunity to go watch them play back in February against Capital. And you can see, Riverside has some talent. It's not that the talent's not there. It's a lot of it is the culture. There was a lot of isolation basketball. I mean, you saw they were not moving the ball whatsoever. It was as soon as they got the ball down the floor, just was attacking the rim. And you're never going to win like that. You have to move the ball.
I mean, you know this, but I'm taking my coaching class at the end of the month. I'm definitely trying. That's my first option. I'm trying to join the staff there. I'm trying to get to Riverside first because I know, I mean, who knows it better than me to how to do that?
Of course, exactly.
They have more talent. That's what I'm saying about them. They have more talent now than they've had since I've been gone. So I think this will be the best season they've had since I've been gone. Next year will be even better, and it'll be their best chance. But that's a whole nother subject because these places are stacked section wise, regional wise, and stuff. Yeah, back to the high school career. I mean, it's hard to. There's not really a resume there that could stack up to that resume that I had there. I mean, it just isn't. So
for sure, a McDonald's All-American nominee too. I mean, you really were a tremendous high school player, and I don't think people understand that because if you saw your numbers on paper, you're thinking you're playing at Wisconsin or you're playing at Duke or something because that was just off your junior year alone. So and people don't get that. High school guys, especially in the state of West Virginia, already at a disadvantage. Virginia's going to get heavily recruited. Pennsylvania already is going to get heavily recruited. Maryland's right there too. You got Ohio right there. So those 5 states right there consistently putting out double-digit D1 guys, and then probably 100 or so D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO guys.
Well, that was the thing too. For me though, not in 8th grade, we probably started traveling out of state, this is another topic we'll get to. We started traveling out of state for tournaments probably 9th grade. So once we started traveling out of state, the guys I was playing every weekend in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Ohio, they're way better than the guys I'm playing back home. So
Of course.
I caught many bodies on Division I players. I caught many 30-point games on Division I players. That's all in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. Then when I
Right.
come to Riverside my junior year and my senior year, it's just the game slowed down, and I still mentally didn't think like, dang, I'm cold, you know. But
Right.
I still like did what I could have done, I would say. But yeah, I mean the AAU circuit or just playing in general, that's where it all comes from. If I didn't start going to camps at 7 years old and playing AAU in 6th grade, I'd have been like every other tall, skinny dude in this area that just wasn't good at basketball.
No, right. And like you said, especially in your area, though, you see a lot of talent out there. I mean, the southern end of the state and eastern panhandle, I feel like, are flooded with two similar type of talent types. Obviously, athletic, fast, a lot of guys that can shoot, and it's physical. I would say the brand in the Kanawha Valley is more physical than up here. It's more finesse up this way, and that's just because we're in a DMV compared to you're kind of near the Ohio Valley. So in Ohio Valley, known for being tough as nails, lower scoring games. Great coaching though, and up here this way, a lot of talent. I mean, obviously we had multiple guys that played at the D1 level here. Great teams, great coaches. You got Coach Church, Dave Rogers. Last year you had Luke Samples. He's at Marion Harding in Ohio now. Derek Basil, who's been at Musselman for over 25 years almost now. You have Ryan Miller and Kyle VanMetre, who are two young coaches in the Jefferson County. You can see the trend started to come back because I thought for the last 5 or 6 years, the brand of basketball, especially my part of the state, maybe not as much as yours, it really started to fall off. But I see it start picking up now. Maybe not talent wise, but I can see the coaching and the building block really starting to bring it together.
That's the thing too, is that I was thinking about this yesterday. Our MSAC conference, I think, is like it's definitely double, maybe triple the size of the EPAN, of the EPAC. So I think
Yeah,
like the guys you named, like that's one. But like the MSAC has like 4 sections of different brands of basketball. So we have like
right.
your Capitals and your South Charlestons. They're super athletic. Oh, Beckley, you can have Beckley that. Beckley, Capitals, South Charleston, super athletic, gritty, press you athletes, man, like raw athletes. Then you got the George Washingtons, you got the Parkersburgs, the Parkersburg Souths. They're like the preppy kids that
They
play.
shoot the heck out the ball,
Exactly.
man.
Then you got the Riversides, then you got the Spring Valleys, then you got the guys that are like considered almost Southern, and they're just a mixture of both, but they're viewed as like these guys are the worst.
Right,
So
right.
that's why, like, growing up at Cedar Grove, it was the worst. I mean, we're like, there's not even people there that even played youth basketball. So the fact that I could have even came up in that and had a successful career, not to mention, like, when you get in the dynamics of how the Upper Kanawha Valley is terrible with drugs, obesity, all these things, like, it's really like respectable if anybody comes up from this area.
Right, and it's definitely very similar here. I mean, when you hear of Martinsburg, you hear of Little Baltimore. It's probably the drug capital of the state outside of Huntington.
Musselman's the Riverside of the EPAC.
Yeah, and I like I said, like I grew up in Bunker Hill,
It
West
really
Virginia,
is.
just about 2 or 3 minutes outside of Inwood. And when I was growing up, man, I was always one of the last kids picked. I barely made the team my 7th grade year. I had to play a guy for the last spot, and I just beat him like
That's
12-10.
crazy.
It wasn't, and I always think back on that. I'm like, man, imagine it didn't happen. But I love the game so much that I just fought every day. I just kept trying to get better. And my freshman year, I had no chance to go play varsity. My JV year, my sophomore year, I really found it. I grew about 5 inches, so I went from being 5'5" to
Mm-hmm.
5'10", which really helped. And I already could shoot the ball really well.
Mm-hmm.
So my sophomore year during JV, I averaged about 27 a game. I was doing
Mm-hmm.
extremely well. I played about 18 games, and in the last 5 games of the season, I got to actually move up, and that's where I saw some real talent. I mean, that was the year that Hedgesville and QJ, CJ, Chris Shields, they all won a championship. And the
Uh-huh.
following year, I was Buddha with Dante Grantham. You had multiple guys there, Jalen Lewis, David Long. Those guys, they won a championship. The following year, 14, my junior year, they had Washington, who was 25-0 with Damo
Uh,
Newman,
I
Kendall
remember
Smith.
Washington, to top in
Yeah.
real quick. I remember Washington. Did they open later in, like, when does their school open, or when did they get a basketball team?
So they actually 2008 was when Washington came into existence, and almost immediately they were pretty relevant in basketball. They had this guy named Tyree Collier, who
Bro,
was a
there was a
freshman in.
year though where nobody in this whole area, Charleston to where I live, so the whole Kanawha County, the whole conference, they were like, there was this place called Washington. There's a bunch of grown men on this team that we have
Yeah.
no clue who they are. They look like an NBA team. Now I think they came to Charleston and they did lose to somebody like Capital or somebody had a
They lost
bunch
to
of
Huntington.
yeah,
Like Eric
yeah,
Nix. Eric Nix fouled
yeah.
out. Kendall Smith and Damo fouled out. Dominic Newman fouled out. But yeah,
Uh,
they were 25-0.
they were like, this team is insane. Who are these guys?
They were all no. This is all Jefferson County product.
It's so
Like Kendall
crazy.
Smith grew up right in Jefferson County, right beside Jefferson High School, which is crazy. You had Damo Newman, who was probably one of the best pure shooters and scorers I've ever seen. We were 1-2 at the state time my junior year, and they came
Hmm.
and played at Musselman. By halftime, they were up 60-25. That's how
Yeah.
quick they scored. They had these Jones brothers that were both had crazy ratchets. They had a transfer from Jefferson at the time named Josh Dudley,
Hmm.
and he was their point guard. He handled everything. And then they had another guy that come off the bench named Austin Shields. So they played 6 guys, and every one of them could score, and every one of them played defense.
I mean,
And
but
then you
those
had
I saw those guys walk into the state tournament. I don't remember what grade I was in. I was like, everybody was like, "Who is this team, bro?" Like that's the thing. At that point, there wasn't teams around here really that was built like that. Now there was like some guys on each team. Like that's another thing we could get into in the future. Like there's some guys, some dogs that I watched growing up in high school. Like, but it wasn't 5 of them. There was never 5 grown men on a team that would walk up there and everybody's like, "Who is that?" That was Washington. And then when they got beat, it was like they're still not like that compared to who
right.
they were playing.
That year was 2014, and that year there was about 4 teams in the EPAC. We had Martinsburg, Musselman, which I played for, Hedgesville, and Washington. We lost to Hedgesville at the buzzer twice. They had this guy named Daniel Delaware. He was a junior and was actually on the all-state tournament team. Going to his senior year, at the last scrimmage 2 days before the first game, he fractured his tibia and fibula, and they were the number 2 ranked team going into the state. I mean, they were incredible. I mean, they were blowing teams out, especially all summer. So hard to beat. That them two went up there, and Hedgesville should have been into the state championship. They lost to G Dub in triple overtime that year, if you don't
Hmm.
remember. And CJ Burks obviously played for that team and had an illustrious career with John Elmore at Marshall. That dude was absolutely incredible. But I think Daniel Delaware was just as good, or not better, at least as a point guard. He reminded me just of Allen Iverson. I say that with no joke at all.
We're talking about how the MSAC is so big. So it's like
Right.
I've like the last few years I'm like, man, that's another conversation. But I've really been thinking like, man, the Eastern Panhandle is like it's better right now. Like talent or teams are just better. But then I'm like, man, the MSAC is so big to where
Right.
like even when some of these teams are having off years, the other teams are still the ones that are winning in Charleston. And I'm like,
Of course.
I know that these guys in the Eastern Panhandle, I'm like, the talent is almost in my eyes better, but I'm like, these guys still are winning when it matters here. Charleston is like just the MSAC still dominating. It's so crazy to me.
The reason why I think that is, I mean, that's a great point that you bring up, is because the Eastern Panhandle might have more better athletes. They'll have a few more better athletes, but the teams, the development in teams, we don't have near the depth. You see a good Eastern Panhandle team, they're only playing 6 or 7. I mean, look at Spring Mills. They played 7 guys. They played
Hmm.
7 the whole season. But the thing is, they knew how to play. They never got in foul trouble or anything. You look at way Washington was playing back then. They only played 6 guys. Everybody up here in the EPAC, if you're a good team, you're only playing 6, 7, maybe 8 if somebody's getting in foul trouble.
Which is
And
crazy
that,
because those schools have huge population. Like Spring Mills has a huge population.
but the coaches always go with who they trust. I mean, the whole style of coaching up here is completely different. Obviously, I think it's a lot faster, but the physicality is a lot different. There's a lot of wide open layups and bunnies that I've been seeing miss that they'll kick it out for threes, and they'll take the analytics. It's a very analytic driven conference
Yeah.
in the EPAC.
And that's why I like that we're from such different areas because I feel like I don't give my area enough respect because I'm so used to it. So it's like
Right.
I'll watch another area and I'm like, man. Then I watch this one, I'm like, oh, this is where we're at. But this area, even when I was playing, I was like, it's still up for grabs, bro, every year. Like I told you something about the other day. It's up for grabs every year. Any team can make it to Charleston, like you said, every year.
It's a battle. Yeah.
And
And especially with the way the new regionals are set up, every year there's a guaranteed 2 from each basically, so you have 4
yeah,
regions,
yeah,
8 sections. So
yeah.
you're going to have, up here, like this year, it was Martinsburg and Spring Mills. And what I don't really like about the state tournament seeding is every year, whoever the number 1 seed in the state is usually a EPAN team, and the last team in the state is an EPAN team. So it immediately knocks them 2 out. Because I don't think that WVSSAC really cares if there was a quote unquote Eastern Panhandle State Championship. But think about Martinsburg and Spring Mills in football, literally just played for a state championship. Basketball, Spring Mills won it. And baseball and softball, Washington or Jefferson and Hedgesville were all right there in state championship games. I mean,
Mhm.
like you said, the Eastern Panhandle product is always consistently talented. But a lot of times they don't finish the job because,
Yeah.
like you said, the MSAC or up near Wheeling Park and stuff is just so much deeper than how we
Well,
are
and
where we're currently
there's just a
constructed.
lot more teams, and it's
Right.
like so when I look at like the Eastern Panhandle, it's like it's not broken up in a bunch of different dynamics up there. It's just different schools, but it's still a handful of schools. So it's like a guy might go from one school to the next, like has been happening up there. That changes their whole dynamic. Well, here there's so many different dynamics in each of these little sections that's in the section and regions to where
Right.
it's really always balanced out. But yeah, with that region, like there's teams like I was looking at the brackets. There's guys that are getting buys, and then if you win one game, you're in. So if
Yeah,
you get
that's
if
all you
you
got
get
to
a
do.
if you get a 1 or 2 seed, you win one game, you're in.
Well, see, like when I played, like when I made it to Charleston in 2015, I had to win 4 games. Like
That's what.
we
Oh, it's
played
insane.
we played Washington, beat them at home. We had to go travel to Jefferson. We beat them. Then we went and played Martinsburg. We actually lost to them. Then we had to go travel to Hampshire to beat them just to get a date with Parkersburg South when they had Garrett Gilkerson, Ty Dobson, all those guys. They were incredible
I played
shooters.
those guys so many times, man.
Yeah, and
I played them
and
from
they
eighth
lost to
grade to
Huntington
12th.
in the state championship. And Tavian Dunmartin had 37. Like it was
I
that guy right
played.
there was truly phenomenal.
We were in Parkersburg probably every other weekend from eighth grade to 11th. So we played the Parkersburg South guys all the time. We played the Huntington guys in Charleston all the time. Could never beat. Could never beat. That's the thing with like our area. We just could never get over that hump when it came to the depth to beat the teams that were loaded. We couldn't beat. We couldn't get over the hump with the Capitals. It's like when you guys beat Martinsburg finally. We could
Yeah,
never
I mean,
get that one moment, but like you had to have your whole career to get that one time.
right,
Just to
exactly.
get
I
the
mean,
one moment, bro. That's
right, because when I
insane.
played at Musselman, Coach still never beat Martinsburg, and he was there
Exactly.
at time. It was like about 15 years, and my junior year we beat them in Martinsburg, and we beat them in Martinsburg my senior year. I think we've only beat them at home against Martinsburg one time, and Coach was still it's
I
just
can't
because
wait to
Martinsburg's
chop it
always
up
been
with
that
him.
dominant.
I can't wait to chop it up
Yeah,
with him and ask him about that. Like, bro, how are we gonna beat these guys? Like, what is your thoughts on that? Like, how are we gonna get these guys out of here? Because it's doable.
and so and what's interesting about that is obviously the Musselman's coming off a struggling season, and you had Jefferson who didn't really play the greatest. I mean, there's a lot of teams that really didn't accomplish what they wanted to that are
Mm-hmm.
already historic programs,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one thing that I think identity for those coaches is just the resiliency and how they're going to fight back against the odds. I mean, obviously nobody's going to think Musselman has a chance to go down to the state tournament this year,
Yeah.
but you couldn't tell that to their staff because they're
Yeah.
going to teach their kids every single day to try to give them that chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I got a bunch of their results in front of me. I mean, Musselman only lost to Washington by like 4 points
Right, right.
in the semifinals. So that they
And
could have won
they
that.
were up by 12 going into the second quarter, and then they had a couple guys absolutely go insane. DJ Borley went for like 18 in the second half, and they just really got them out the way.
Hedgesville had the higher seed in Jefferson and beat them by like over 17 points or something. So
And what's crazy with that is Jefferson, the way they were playing towards the end of the season, probably should have got the third seed, but they had an eligible player play for 4 games, so they actually ended up getting a forfeit against Musselman and a forfeit against Hedgesville. And against Hedgesville, that first time they beat them, they were down by 17 going into the half, and they ended up coming back and winning by 10. And that was Kyle VanMetre, who was actually on Hedgesville's staff for a
hmm
long time. He actually, I'm not going to say he outcoached Coach Church, but his players really responded to what he was trying to do. And they ended up winning that game, and Jefferson ended up winning the game, played Spring Mills. Obviously, that was a Goliath. They had
yeah,
Jamari Jenkins.
I think in the future, I mean, I think from here on out, I think that 2 seed out there is going to be up for grabs eventually. I
Of
think
course.
there's no reason that none of those teams. I mean, Martinsburg can be beat. They can be beat
Of
because
course.
George Washington gave Spring Mills everything they could get,
Yep.
and
Noah Lewis was insane.
yeah, I feel like those teams up there, there's no reason that those teams can't compete for that number 2 spot. Number one spot's going to be a different breed for a while because Spring Mills has built this dynasty, which is probably my favorite program in the state right now. They're insane.
Right. But I look at Spring Mills, and like you said, they have a tremendous amount of talent going into next year. But the thing that worries me is when you lose kind of that culture that they had. And I know
Mhm.
Coach Samples was, it was controversial just to say the least, but he had those guys ready. I mean, that he turned that whole program around. That team was not respectable at all. But you got to realize that school's less than 12 years old. It
That's
just
what's
opened
crazy
up
about
while
it. Yeah,
we
like
were
I'd
in high
never heard
school.
of them.
Yeah, and then but obviously you see the facilities. I mean, it's the nicest school I've seen in the state, and I've been to almost every quad A and triple A school in the state. So when I look at them and I see what they have, but I also look at Washington. Washington's a terrific school too. I mean, like I said, they're they're from '08, but they have great facilities as well. But I look at like Martinsburg and Musselman and Hedgesville, like they're nice facilities, but you can tell they're a little bit outdated. They're 20, 25-year-old schools compared to when you got a school that's basically in their infancy still as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I said, bro, the section realignment and the region realignment, it's that number 2 is up for grabs everywhere. Now, a lot of these a lot of these classes and regions, like number 1 seeds, they're kind of establishing themselves, but number 2 is always there, man, for them for sure.
Like the Morgantown conference, you have Morgantown University, and you're always going to see one of them in the tournament, and typically you're going to see both.
I mean,
Obviously
because
they're
they're
both
getting a
there this year
bye,
too.
and then the team they're playing to get in, they're winning by 25, 30 points.
Yeah, exactly.
They're a
Because what they're
lock
playing
every
against
year.
John Marshall, stuff like that, like it's a lot different than, like you said, the EPAC or the MSAC, where
Yeah,
you have it's a dogfight to get in. Like
yeah,
you really have to be. There's going to be one team that's going to get left out of the EPAC that probably should be in a tournament. Same thing with MSAC, probably
every
one or
year.
two. Yeah, it's
That's what I'm
and
saying.
it's
That's why those number 2 seeds, man, are up for grabs because the 1 seeds are untouchable right now, but those number 2 seeds are up for grab for sure.
Well, so how would you feel with, like, say, a realignment at the state tournament? I personally think it should be a Final Four and a double elimination. That's how I feel. I feel like there should be one from each conference that goes and makes it up there, and then you won't just get out if you lose your first game. You'll have to obviously go through a double elimination.
I'm for any tournament platform to just expand it as much as it can anyways. I think everybody needs like expand the tournament as much as you can. Like that's the best part
Right.
about March Madness, bro. You have so many different opportunities. Like not like the worst teams, but like see what they did with football. I think West Virginia football, they changed like the classification. We talked about that the other day.
4A.
So how
That's
many
why everybody
teams
made the tournament last year. They had
exactly.
playoffs.
So
And that kind of waters down. Like, that's when I say, like, how many times are you seeing an 8 seed beat a 1? I was an 8 seed. We competed with them, but there's just levels. 1 to 8 and 2 to 7 is typically a really hard adjustment to make. But I think 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5, those are always tremendous games. That's why I personally think it should be more of a football style where you get 1 through 16. I don't think everybody should make it in automatically. If you go 0-22, you shouldn't be able to even play another
exactly.
game. Your season should be over. So 16 will go travel to 1, 2
Oh,
15 to 2, and so on.
I'm for that for sure. I just think that like anytime we start talking about stuff like that, it ends up with being about money and organizations, and then
Of course.
the common sense thing that everybody agrees on. Just I mean that's just politics. That's just law. That's just everything right now. So what we would like to see, if it doesn't line up with the West Virginia budget or the national budget, it just ain't gonna happen.
Right. And what I really look for, though, like going forward, is I think with the 4A system, they are going to try to readjust the basketball tournament. I truly do. I mean, like they've already worked with baseball. They're already kind of redid football, it's a new venue and stuff. Obviously, you're at Lately Field now. I
Mhm.
think with basketball, I'm not saying it's outdated. Like the 18 tournament is huge, but I think having 4 teams in double elimination, it takes the need away from having those 4 other
Bro,
teams,
I'm all for
and you still get
expanding
the
it.
game.
Expand the tournament. I'm all for expanding the tournament, bro, and make it better. We were
Right.
talking about
I just
we were talking about your region. Our region, like the MSAC region, the second seed in all these regions are open for grabs. So like George Washington had the 1 seed, right?
right.
Riverside had to play Beckley first round. It was like 89-56, right? Like first round game. But then the semifinals, George Washington, their game against St. Albans was close, man. I mean, it was like they won by 10 points. So there's not St. Albans was the 4th seed.
Yeah, exactly. Like and that's just so crazy to think about. Like,
And that's what, but if you're any of those teams though, every year you should have confidence knowing like we can, like every year's different, bro. We can make it to Charleston every year, no matter what. Like it's a different season every season. If the number
right,
4
and that's
team almost beats George Washington, I mean, you can make it.
of course, and like you go back, if we just go back and look at the standings, just in general from
Mm,
the whole state. I mean, it's just there's no parity. Like it's always
yeah,
just a little bit different. Like I look at the conference that obviously the EPAC, like Spring Mill's just so far and ahead better than everybody last year. That's when they played Hanley out of Virginia. That's why it was such a good game. That like playing a 4A out of Virginia, typically a 4A in West Virginia really shouldn't be able to compete. But they went out there and won that game.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But Morgantown beat them last year and really could have knocked Spring Mills off their high horse because that's when they had two guys be suspended. That's when Coach Samples had to pretty much resign at that point.
Hmm.
But instead, they rallied around each other and found a way to win the whole thing. But like you said, George Washington gave them everything they could handle. Noah Lewis, probably the best prospect in the state, at least in my opinion.
And that just shows the difference. So you got EPAN, you got MSAC, and then you got Morgantown. That's the 3 complete opposite parts of the state. it just lets you know that it's still even. It's anybody's game every year. But like
Right.
a team like Riverside, like your goal has to be get out of that last seed.
Right. You have to.
You can't be matched up with Beckley first. So you gotta get these other guys out of there. You gotta get St. Albans at 4 out of there. You gotta get Oak Hill at 5 out of there. Like those are teams you can definitely beat. Then you can beat the 2
Right.
seed, then you're in the tournament.
Right. That's
So,
you have to be able to beat the 2 seed. But like up in the EPAC, you have 1 through 6. So obviously that 1 and that 2, they get to bye. 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. That
mhm.
4 versus 5, both teams, Hedgesville and Jefferson had it. Both those teams had state tournament aspirations. Both those teams were ranked in the top 5 at one point during the season, and they both knew, okay, we win this game, we just got to go play Spring Mills basically and pack our bags. And
Yeah.
that was just that obvious. You know what I mean?
My senior year, we got as high up to 8th in the state, 6-0. I think 4 teams in our section was in the top 8.
Yep.
And how many
That's how it
teams
was
make
my
out?
junior year.
How many teams make out of one section? I mean, not the
Yeah.
region. We had
One.
the section. We had 4
Yeah.
teams ranked in the top 8 in the state in one section. We could never make it out of there, man. We tried. We did all we could do, but that's where that depth and talent and athleticism comes in. We just didn't have it. We just never had it.
And like speaking on my junior year, like I said, that we had 4 teams in the top 7. We had, like I said, Washington, Hedgesville, Martinsburg, and us. Nobody beat Washington in the section, but we all was
Yeah.
splitting with each other. So
See,
we
your
had,
year was dominated up there. My senior year was dominated
yeah,
down here.
yep, of course, because you had Huntington, who was just obviously the clear ahead best team, and that's Musselman had to go play Huntington the first round of the playoffs, and
Mhm.
that's or in the state tournament. And
Yeah.
that's, I mean, Musselman had Kyle Jackson, who was averaging 24 a game, Cam Stevens, Jake Stevens, who currently is on the is it the Hornets or I think he's with the Hawks. He's with the Hawks summer
Yep.
league team.
Yep.
They had Latrell Ward, another guy who played college ball, and they had a good depth. And
Yeah.
Huntington just had their way with them.
That's the
It
thing.
was
It's
clear
like
different.
that team, that Musselman team right now would be a great team, man.
Oh, I would say that Musselman team from 2016 and 17, with Cam was a senior and Jake was a junior, they were phenomenal. But the talent was just so crazy, especially in y'all's part of the state.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at like last year's Quad A All State. There's, let me see, 1, 2. Noah Lewis is a junior, so he's coming back.
Yep, Quasi's a junior, Quasi a Poku on
And
Champagne.
then, yeah, that's your boy. Yeah, those are both
Yep.
juniors. And then there's Harrison Riggs from Spring Valley. He's a junior. And then kid from Parkersburg South. So those are like the things I'm looking at. I'm looking at like who is returning. And that kind
Well,
of
so
like lets you know, like, hey, those guys that's the teams to watch for, bro, because they were already there.
right, and whenever we were speaking on Washington, talking about this current team with Coach Ryan Miller, we'll have him actually on the pod joining us at a later point. I mean, Josiah King, just a junior coming up this year, probably will be one of the top 2 or 3 players in this area at least. And Dolman was the most improved player last year, and I've seen him put up 37 and 40 in the game too. So they're going to be phenomenal. I think they'll give Spring Mills all they can handle this year too.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like I said, there's these other teams have to find a way to be competitive against each
Exactly.
other. You know what I mean? Like a lot
That's
of
the
this is,
problem.
yeah, it's like they're packing it in. They know they don't got a chance. And I'm not saying every
Exactly.
coach is like that, but if you're going, it's a Friday night and you're say 5-13 and you're going to go play against somebody that's 18-1 in February, anything's going to happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what a coach is going to say. The players aren't going to care.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited to talk to these coaches though and get their perspectives on it and see like
Right.
what can you do? Like realistically, like that's my thing too. Like I can't wait to get in this coaching journey myself and be real with people and be like, man, like let's be real about it. Like what are we doing here? Like what are we trying to do here? Like do we actually think we can do this? Like are we just doing it? But yeah, those teams right there, like GW, Spring Mills, Spring Valley, those teams already just almost won it all 3 of them. So if their best players are already back, like if they already have a solid guy back next year, that's the same guys, same teams are going to be the ones to watch out for next year too. So
I mean, Spring Mills lost probably the best player in Quad A and Caleb Thomas, and what they reload with was Musselman's best player, Aiden San Maria, who's a 6'7" big who could shoot, put his back to the basket, and do a bunch of different things. Now, maybe stylistically he might not fit their system per se, but anytime you got a 6'7" big who can shoot and
yeah,
rebound decently, and who's going to be a senior, it almost fills that depth right back in for him. But I still think that Washington and Spring Mills will be very close and evenly matched up this year, just because Washington has a little bit more depth too. They have shooting that can compete with them, and without Caleb Thomas, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Quasi and Tyler Jones, Tyler's little brother Chase, obviously Ann Santa Maria and Hope Boakway. Like those guys are really going to have to step up because
yeah, because
Spring
well,
Mills
they're
three
already
best
looking
players.
forward. Look forward to
Yep.
GW. Look forward to that Noah Lewis matchup already. So
Morgantown, can't count out Dave Tallman too. They're reloading. They're always going to be a solid program.
but
University,
that transfer is big though. He could play some defense.
yeah, for sure. I mean,
Size
obviously
wise. So
He should be able to block 3 or 4 shots a game. I mean,
yeah, you stick
especially,
him on Noah Lewis, he might not stop him, but he'll give him a little resistance for what they needed.
of course. Yeah, Jefferson has Dikeem Drake. They have a couple guys coming back. They'll still be viable. I mean, Jefferson will be a hard out, especially. I think Coach VanMetre did the best job last year with his program and his
Yeah.
odds.
We got to get
You
him on
know,
here for sure. I saw his Twitter the other day and I was looking through his tweets. I was like, this guy has some tweets that like I've already typed in my notes. I'm like, this dude is typing stuff that I've already typed in my own notes. Like I loved like his view on certain things. He was talking about like AAU and summer and stuff. And I'm like, that's exactly how you build a team right there. He's building
well,
a program.
he's part of the Coach Church pedigree. So, or coaching tree. You got Ryan Miller, who's going to be on with us later.
That's
You got
crazy.
Kyle VanMetre. Luke Samples was part of his staff. I'm missing somebody else. They've had plenty of guys that have just went out and about, and Coach Church has just had so many different connections. I mean,
Yeah.
he knows Jay Billis on a first name basis. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like this guy's a pure basketball head, and he's right here 10 minutes
Which I
down the
mean,
road from.
that's what I can't wait to talk to him about too. It's like, so he needs to be in the mix. Like he needs to get back in there. He needs to get back to Charleston. He needs to beat these guys. I mean, he has no reason that he can't. He definitely can. But
Yeah, quick, shifty, can shoot.
when I played though, my senior junior year, Capital, South Charleston, Beckley, their whole team was those guys. Like
Right,
their
straight
whole
athletes.
all of their guards was Jenkins and Cheek. That was their team. Like every team
Right,
you're playing is like that. So. But yeah,
of
it'll be
course.
exciting, man, to get these high school guys on here, the coaches, players, chop it up with them, and see like where everything's at high school wise. So.
And now, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, for this part of our cast, we'll still stick with the high school sports edition. But we are having Coach Ryan Miller from Washington High School now join the cast. Coach Miller, we really appreciate you taking the time, and we hope you guys enjoy the interview. Everyone, we have a very special guest join us today, the head coach of Washington High School, Coach Ryan Miller. Coach, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm great, man. Just got done a session in the gym, so that's always a good time. So it's been a good day.
Oh, for sure. I know you're always at it, and you and your team always looking to get better. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it, Coach. For the people who haven't been inside of your gym, what is the identity of Washington?
So I think our identity honestly has shifted a little bit. So being a new coach, just a quick background. This is only my third year with the program, and so when we took over, we had to kind of redo and reshape the culture here, and we've really started to play. I mean, and Drew, you got to watch us last year, and you can speak to this. We really started to play fast. We want to get after it. We run a conceptual style offense where we're in a lot of different actions. I don't want to script, hey, we're going to come down and we're going to set this screen here, this screen here. No, I want to teach my kids how to play rather than telling them what to go do. And, we're fast. We get after you on defense. We press a lot, play a lot of guys. And so we really, conditioning is big for us. So it's kind of the brand of basketball where it's shifting towards. We play in transition a lot rather than slow it up in the half court. It's fun to watch. It's fun to coach.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research on YouTube. I think every great coach right now, regardless of level, is going to the conceptual offense. Everybody's moving towards that. The older coaches are even starting to implement it. You have to do that. It's hard to scout actions. I love the conceptual style of play.
Yeah, it's been a big shift. So like you said, older coaches, basketball used to be you come down, you throw it around the perimeter, try to feed it into the post, you get this screen, or like you go back to coaches, and there's nothing wrong with this, but coaches that run flex, where you flex screen, down screen, pop out, flex screen, down screen, pop out, and that's great if that works for you. That's fantastic. For me, more so than even wins or losses at this level, I'm trying to teach my guys how to play the game so that they can go to the next level. And if that's what they're doing at the next level, I'm doing a disservice if I don't teach them that.
Exactly. Like I'll see motion. I'll see teams run motion, and the initial two cutters aren't even looking for the basketball when they're cutting. So it's like if you're running these offenses and you're not even looking for the ball after the first cut, you're like, what are you doing here? I mean, what are we doing?
Right. Yeah. Because it just becomes I'm not supposed to score off this anyway. So let's just
Defense knows that. So it's like
absolutely.
I love starting with the transition offense. That's a whole action in itself nowadays. NBA's doing it. Transition offense is its own offense first. So you're looking to score off that to start. Then you're getting into actions, and then it's much smoother than walking the ball up, getting in motion, having guys cut, not even looking for the ball. That's just where the game's shifting, which is going to make players better anyways.
Absolutely.
And speaking on top of that, Ryan, like all your guys seem like on the defensive side of the ball too can guard 1 through 5. You guys are a very switch heavy team. What goes into that in your offseason program to prepare your guys for that type of defensive pressure and awareness that you need to have to be on the floor for you?
So it starts with conditioning. If we're going to switch 1 through 5, press a little bit, play the way that we want to play, and get out in transition, if you're not in shape, you're not going to be able to do it. So we've actually revamped our off-season program this year. Coach Malik Harper does a great job for us. He designs everything in the weight room and conditioning, and we've really gotten after it. It's not always fun for these guys, but they've all bought in.
Right.
I told you we just got out of the gym. We had 21 kids, and I think out of those 21, most of them will make a team here. So like that's nice. That's your program right there. And again, not everything today was fun, but they bought into it, and that's what it takes. And we've learned that kind of as the program goes. The other thing, like, being strong in the weight room has become a big deal for us because, like you said, we are switching 1 through 5 a lot. I feel comfortable with our big guys on the perimeter most of the time, and I feel comfortable with our guards. They're big and strong enough now that they can guard, and not for 32 minutes, but if we get switched on it, I feel okay because of the work that we put in the off season, and we're comfortable. And I think we're getting to the point where it's becoming seamless when we do that.
I want to piggyback off that real quick. What is your summer structure like? What is your off seasons like? What's your summer like? How do you use the flex practices? How do you use the 3-week period? How many days are flex practices now? Have they changed it?
Yeah, so they've gotten rid of the 3-week period completely.
Gotcha.
So it used to be you would have a certain, I think it was 16 or 18 flex days and then a 3-week period. So now what they've done is they said, we're just going to give you 32 flex days. You can use them whenever you want. And so what's nice about it is, like, for multi-sport athletes, 7-on-7s, team camps, like prospect camps for baseball, some of those things all fall on the same weekend. So then kids are always pick or choose. So what we've been able to do now is go to things that, like in the fall, we've got 4 shootouts scheduled. They're all one day, so I only have to use 1 flex day for them. But we'll go and we'll get to play 12 games in the fall now. And so before, we weren't allowed to do that because you had to do everything in 3 weeks in June. So it's made it a lot more flexible. And so that part's nice. But for us, what happens is after basketball season, we typically take 3 weeks to a month off. So we'll come in right after spring break. That's the conditioning part. We start in the weight room. We don't touch a basketball. We'll go run outside. We'll do stuff with the track program and work in with them. One of the things that we've been doing, Coach Harper's designed this kind of gauntlet, and we've been timing kids where we incorporate laps around our school, which is huge. Jump rope and push-ups. So every time they do a lap, they come back, have a certain number of jump ropes, certain number of push-ups, and they take off again. So we do that about once a week. And then, so that won't, because we won't have a basketball. So if we don't have a basketball in the gym, then it doesn't count as our flex day. So we really start practicing again shortly, like right before school lets out, so that we can get ready for some of those team camps that we're doing. And then we kind of run through the summer, pick and choose which days. We're normally in the gym, probably 2 days, 3 days a week in the gym, an extra day just to wait. And then we're able to take a little bit of time off, let them get comfortable with school again, and then it ramps back up with our fall program.
So as long as there's no basketball, you can condition these guys.
Yep. You can weight train and condition all year round.
That's what I want to keep going for a second, Drew. What me and Drew been talking about, like I think with West Virginia sports specifically, we have to keep catching up with the rest of the country. So if you're not if these guys can't be doing something basketball related all year, how do you expect them to even compete when they get to college? I mean, you can't start them from behind. We have to have these guys playing nonstop.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It is tough, especially, and Drew knows where we're at in the Eastern Panhandle. You end up playing a lot of Virginia and Maryland teams, and their rules are a little different. And so you definitely see it. Like, there's not a lot of team camps we go to in our state. So when we go to team camps in other states, well, they haven't stopped practicing.
No,
they go
exactly
basketball season right into their off-season practice. And so they're out there. We ran into it last year. We ran a team, and every time down, they would call a set. We didn't have any. We're just out there running our offense, and we're trying to defend all, and we're just not ready for it yet. It's a learning experience, but it's frustrating in those moments where you're like, man, we could be doing so much more. But we're not there yet. They have given us, I'll give them credit. There's much more flexibility with the flex days.
It's improved.
Cram everything in, and eventually I think we'll get there, but we are a little bit behind. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, because at the next level, if you're from West Virginia, Ohio, it doesn't matter. All that matters. I mean, it's not at the next level. There's not a limit. So if your whole high school career, you're used to this limit, you're playing guys that have never stopped.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and kind of piggybacking off of that, like now, the previous 2 years you were at Washington, you guys were definitely a more immature, younger team. This year, coming back, you're returning the majority of your starting lineup. Like, talk about your squad a little bit this year. Who's some guys that we should keep an eye on?
So, and I'm sure you're going to clip this and put it out there, but that's fine. I'm just going to say it right now. We've got the best backcourt in the state. Saya King is a legitimate 6'3" point guard who can play with anybody, can guard anybody on the floor. And Chris Dolman might be the most underrated player in the state. And I tweeted that out. The EPAC is as tough as it gets in our state. And again, I'm not going to say it's better than other conferences because other conferences have great teams, but it's as tough as it gets. It's a gauntlet night in and night out. And Chris has been an all EPAC point guard, made the team since his freshman year. Last year had back-to-back 30-point games before he got banged up a little bit. Chris is a hell of a basketball player. And when you put him beside a kid and Josiah, who's, going to have a chance to play Division I basketball probably, I think you're hard-pressed to find two better guards. They play, they play so well together.
Cohesive.
Yeah, there's never a selfish moment. When Chris was going off and had his stretch where he was scoring 30, Josiah was fine getting his 8, 9, 10 assists. And that's what's nice about him. And then to surround that, we have guys this year that have really worked hard in the offseason, and we've got guys that can really shoot the basketball. Avery's going to be a kid who shoots at around 40%. Jaquel Watkins is so underrated in the things that he does, and he's one of those guys that's never gonna, he's never gonna pop up and score 20 points in a game, but he does all those little things. He sets great screens. He rolls to the basket. He seals. He can switch 1 through 5 on defense. And then Chet Gore. So Chet, no one has seen how good Chet really is. Chet been banged up. Drew knows this, and Josh, you don't. Chet had reconstructive foot surgery on both feet.
Insane.
Going into his junior year. So Chet last year was probably playing at like 70%. And so Chet's fully healthy, has gained about 15 pounds in the weight room. And then we've got several really good players off the bench. And you talked about how we're mature now. But we've got a couple young guys. Tajay Harrison's going to be a sophomore. He's going to be good. He's going to back up Chris and Josiah. And when they need a break, we don't really miss a beat with him.
That's good.
And then Cam Shedrick, we got him on a transfer. Cam can light it up. He's a kid that is a spark plug off the bench. And then a really underrated one, man. Yair Marrero is going to be a freshman. Yair Marrero's got a chance to be really, really good.
I've got to watch him a couple of times. He's a phenomenal talent for sure.
Yeah, for a freshman, he's 6'2", 6'3", can shoot the basketball, can handle it. Like, he just gets it. So we've got a really deep. Like I said, man, I feel comfortable going 10, 11 deep with this team and not missing a beat. So it's really exciting. I think this is a year that we can take a step forward as a program.
I wanted to ask, I graduated Riverside High School 2016. We played in the MSAC. I've seen on your all schedule, you played a couple MSAC schools last year. You played South Charleston. I wanted to ask, from you being up there, what differences do you think, if any, are between the styles of play or coaching styles from like places like the MSAC to the EPAN?
So I think as you go farther down into the state or west, and as you get out of the panhandle, I think, and I've talked about this, the game is more physical. And so part of the reason that I scheduled those games, and unfortunately we ended up playing those games missing 3 starters. So we didn't get a ton out of it. It was great for our younger guys. But we went down there really shorthanded. And I would have loved for our older guys and our starters to be able to go experience that, because it does get you ready for the state tournament. Like, the game is just played more physical. And we've preached on that. And we used those 2 games against Parkersburg South and South Charleston last year as a message to our team. Hey, this is how we need to play night in and night out. In the Eastern Panhandle, we're going to get called for some fouls. But like I said, man, we're 10, 11 deep. If you get a couple fouls going, we're fine. We got to bring that physicality every day so that we're ready when it does, when March rolls around, and we're not shell-shocked when we go to Charleston.
Yeah, I mean, every night, Riverside, we were playing Capital, South Charleston, Beckley. Every night was full court press, the most athletic team, every single night, dogs. That's the whole style of play every single night. Then you would play your teams like George Washington, that has a great coach. They play a different style. I mean, you have multiple styles and multiple coaching and playing styles in one conference. So every night was just it was grueling. Our section had 4 teams in the top 8 of the state at one point. One team's making out of there.
Right. Yeah.
So the red line now has been a lot better, but it's a gauntlet up there.
Yeah. The EPAC was like that. I know last year, we cracked the top 5 for a couple weeks. Martinsburg was in the top 5. Spring Mills is obviously, right at the top of all of it. And so the year before that, we were the only team that wasn't in the top 10 at some point. And so those conferences do kind of mirror each other. There's never a night off, man.
And when you say mirror each other, I almost think that the differences mirror each other too, because like you said, it's such a physical brand of basketball in the Southern State, and up here it's a lot more finesse and athleticism. There's more threes getting shot up here, less free throw attempts. So it is a contrast. And whenever you're going to get to play those schools out of state, Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, DC, I think that gives you kind of a look of what the southern end of the state is. So, and when we're moving forward to that, because last year, Coach Miller, you guys were so talented, and there was times you guys would put it together. But at the end of the season, when you had injuries to King and Dolman, you guys kind of showed flashes of inconsistency. Like I said, when y'all played down south, it was kind of shellacking. How do you prevent that going into this year?
First off, you just hope to stay healthy. That's a big part of it. When you have two guards that are that good, and you lose both of them at the same time, it's tough. And again, that as a coaching staff, we have to be better and figure out ways to help our team succeed. But there are times that when you didn't have those two, plus you didn't have a 6'8" kid,
Right.
that hurt. But that being said, I thought there were some bright spots, and those scores, they were bad. But like Tajay Harrison got reps as a freshman against Parkersburg South.
That's huge.
Yeah, like he played the entire second half against South Charleston and had one turnover. Like those are moments to be. Now he didn't score a ton, but just going in and doing the little things like that shows me that he can be ready for the following year. And so there were learning moments. Obviously it's easy to say you hope you stay healthy, but it starts right now. Like, can we get our 10th and 11th guy ready so that if it does happen again, we're not in quite the same position? And so I think we've learned as a coaching staff from that a little bit, and hopefully, you hope for better health, but if not, then hopefully we handle it a little better this year.
Right.
Yeah, I like to know, like in games when you are missing key players, or or when you first started coaching, if you just have a new team, how do you approach those games differently as a coach than you do now with an established roster? So, say you're going into a game against a team like Parkersburg South, they're a good team. Well, you also know you're undermanned, you have injuries. How do you believe and instill to your kids like we can still win this game, or do you kind of have to flip a switch where like, you know what, we're going to use this as like a practice for the end of the season? How can you make yourself believe like we're going to win this game or we can compete? Because you have to be realistic in certain games too if you're injured.
Absolutely. I think what we did is we were kind of looking at it. The one nice thing about West Virginia, man, like the regular season doesn't matter. Everybody makes the playoffs. And so in West Virginia, I think you can use those games as a practice a little bit. If we lose an out of conference game to Parkersburg South or South Charleston, it really doesn't matter. The only thing it might affect is maybe it's the difference in a seed or two if we do go to Charleston, right? But at the end of the day, like you just want to get better. Now, if it's a do or die game, then yeah, you probably got to do things different. And hopefully you have a couple practice days that your guy's not going to play, so you can change some things up. Because again, when you're missing two guards the caliber that we have, we didn't run the same offense.
Right.
We knew we weren't going to have them. We had about 4 days to prepare, so we installed a whole new offense, and we had to. When our offense runs through those two and you don't have them, you got to do things different. And so, we did use it as a little bit of a learning experience and a practice for those guys, probably more than we did going in to try to win the game.
Yeah. I want to keep going for a second. Earlier in your career, just any point in your career, games where like you knew going in like this team is great, we're not great. How do we win this game? Or do you still use that as the lesson as like let's just get better? Because like there's a lot of teams, especially in my area, I feel like their culture has been behind for so long. They're going to South Charleston on a weekday and they're like, we can't win this game.
Yeah, so I think it depends. When I first got the job, we played Lindsley in a tournament in Martinsburg, and we didn't try to win the game. I'll just be honest with you. Like that's a lie. You go in trying to win every game, but you also set goals as a coaching staff to say, okay, if we can hit these goals, that's a win tonight, right? Because Lindsley at the time, 3D1 kids started,
Dang.
every kid on the floor was 6'5" and above at times. And I just took over a program that had won 5 games in 2 years. And so as a coach, you just go in trying to get better. How can this Lindsley game help me win games on the road? That's sort of the way that I handled it. Now this year's different. We got to go out and try to win every game. And we've loaded our schedule up a little bit, and hopefully, I didn't want that many nights off for us. I know some coaches try to schedule wins here or there. I don't know if that does anything for us at this point in our program. I think year one, sure, you wanted to get some wins and get the confidence back, but now, man, we just got to be ready to play night in and night out.
Yeah, so I like that concept of basically the small wins with the game itself, because like you said, the regular season really doesn't matter in West Virginia anyways. So you get those small wins during the season. That helps build confidence and builds it for the future. So I like that concept for sure.
And so, like, when you say you loaded the schedule up and obviously prepared, there's other schools in the area that are kind of completely opposite of that. They the first part of their schedule is incredibly weak. And then, you get into February, March, and you really start falling off a cliff. But in the contrary, say you load up that schedule and you start beating down your guys or playing these minutes because they're trying to compete and win, and you get broke down in the by March. How do you avoid that again? Avoid those injuries. Like, are you doing any like preventive maintenance with the athletic trainers? Are you making sure your guys are stretching? Like, what are you doing to try to prevent going through that injury bug again next year?
So that's one thing that I think we do a good job of, and it didn't. Our injuries last year were kind of freak. Messiah's concussion was just one of those where it was a really weird incident. Chris, when he rolled his ankle and was playing the playoff game at probably 60%, we were in a non-contact drill.
Right.
We were going 5-on-0 transition, and Chris just rolled his ankle. So like, I don't think it was so much wear and tear because we do a good job. And again, this comes back to Coach Harper. We do a good job, and our athletic trainer is fantastic. We do a good job of, after most practices, stretching big time, taking care of our bodies, making sure that we take time out of it to do that, even if we have to sacrifice, 15, 20, 30 minutes of practice time, especially as you're getting later in the year. I think that's really important. And I've been a part of programs that do a great job of that and some that don't. And I do feel like it's really important, and we try to continue to do that.
For sure.
Coach, how old are you, and where did you coach before Washington?
So I'm 33. I started my career at Spring Mills when they opened. I was an assistant over there. I was there for 3 years and had my teaching degree at the time. So I came down to Jefferson County and coached at Wildwood Middle. Had great success at Wildwood, and it got to the point in my career where middle school just wasn't for me anymore. I was either gonna not coach, take an assistant job, or find something. And the timing just worked out. I ended up here at Washington and plan to be here for a really long time.
What did you tell me, Drew, about Coach Church? You coach with Coach Hedgesville or no?
I played for Coach Church.
Played for Coach Church.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
He graduated in 11.
2010.
2010, yep. So that's Coach's Church. Kyle, Coach VanMetre from Jefferson, he coached with Coach Church. Samples, when he was at Spring Mills last year, he coached with Church. But
that's right. So what's it like in the EPAC? All these coaches know each other very well. How much can you really prepare coaching-wise against coaches that you feel like you guys know a lot about each other? Is there stuff you can do that's differently year in and year out? Where like, this guy's not going to know what I'm doing, or is it more like, let's just get our guys ready to play the way we play and have the better guys?
I can tell you every call that every coach is going to make in the EPAC. Now, the reality of it is they can do the same thing, and so you just got to have your players bought in and figure out how to stop it. It's honestly one of the reasons that we went to a conceptual-based offense. Like, if you run a bunch of sets, like, we played a team, and it wasn't a conference team, but we had played a team that wasn't, far from here, and we got to scout them live 3 times. Coach Roman for us had a call sheet with 19 calls, and as soon as they yelled it out, he yelled out what they were going to do. Well, that's frustrating for a basketball team, and that happens in the EPAC if you do that kind of stuff. And so like it's to the point, man, like inbounding the ball sometimes gets hard because I can tell you, like, if we inbound the ball against Hedgesville, as soon as we line up, they know what we're going to do.
right
And I
away.
know that's crazy, but when you live scout people, and like, we got 6 quadruple A high schools within, that's, like a 15, 20-mile radius. I can be at every game, and if I can't be at it, there's so many streams now, but I can get sound or audio that I can do it that way. So you really try to be unpredictable. Like I said, it's kind of why we went to this conceptual-based offense, and because it is harder to scout, you don't know, it's not the same thing every time down the floor, and I'm hoping that helps us this year.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I was driving today. I was like, these coaches in this conference, because it's different between the MSAC, because there's a few more teams in the MSAC than the EPAC. But I was thinking, like, for your all's conference specifically, I was like, all these coaches like have to know everything that each other do. I mean, they have to know everything.
Well, I mean, Coach Hirsch is calling out plays that he ran when I was there, and so like,
I was going to ask next. So is he the one out of all you guys probably that's changed the least? Like, he's still got his foundation. He's running his stuff. He's not running conceptual. Like, has he changed at all?
he has changed. Like, I'll tell you, they'll be different this year than they have been in a long time.
A whole lot different.
And then, but he's very good at changing with his team too. And I know sometimes it doesn't look like he is, but a few years ago when he had that team with Cam Wilkes, Christian Bolduc, guys that could really good. They were athletic. They were big. Like, they did things different. They didn't run your traditional Hedgesville motion. Like, they put each other in a lot. Like, they put his team in a lot of ball screens,
which is not typical.
No, it's not. And he did that when I played because we had guards. So he just kind of morphs. It's what he knows, and it's always going to come back to his principles, right? But he will do different things with different teams. And the other thing, man, like the guy coaches defense better than any coach I've ever been around. His team, I don't care how talented they are, they're always going to be top 5, 6 in the state defensively. he's really, really good on that end of the floor, and that always makes him tough to beat.
When you play non-conference games, do you have a different way of scouting, and you think like, well, they're not going to know all of our plays down the road? Will do you guys approach it a little differently from a schematic standpoint, like just with like set plays or certain things like that?
Not really. To be honest, like we don't call a ton of sets, and so like we don't change it. I'm a type of coach like I don't have a script where I'm going to call this play in this quarter or something like it's kind of off feel for me.
It's organic for you. I definitely noticed that about you for sure.
Yeah, like if I feel that we really need a bucket, I might call a play to get a certain guy in a certain spot, or something like that. Or if I feel a team just went on a run and we need something, I'll call something. But and we don't really change up that much. It's just the amount of information we might have with an EPAC conference game compared to a non-conference. It doesn't change a whole lot though.
For sure. And Coach, I only got one more question for you, my man. If there's one lesson you hope your players take with them long after they leave your program, what would it be?
Outwork everybody else. Because if you're not doing that, you just get behind. And we had this conversation today. We came in the gym yesterday, and I was with our bigger guys doing a workout. And when we got done, they were drenched. And I looked over at our guards, and they were kind of sweating. And so I brought everybody to the middle, and I just flat out asked them. I said, "Why are our bigs sweating?" And one of our older guys spoke up and said, "Because you were with them." So like, it's great to work when people are watching. That's fantastic. The work you put in behind the scenes, though, that's what separates you.
Yep.
And so for every day that we're not in the gym working, and it can't always be me. Like for every day that Chris Dolman, for example, is not getting shots up, somebody else is getting shots up and is going to take Chris's spot at a college. And I think I've instilled that in them, and our program has changed in that aspect. Like we would do summer off-season stuff my first year here, and we might have 8, 9, 10 kids. Today, we had 21, and I know where 4 of them were at. 4 of them were on vacation. They would have been here as well. And so that to me speaks volumes that we made strides as a program, and it makes me really proud.
I got a couple more too. I want to piggyback off that first. Outside of your all's conditioning, are your guys, what are they doing to get the ball in their hands? Are they playing AAU, other stuff like that? Like, are you in contact with them saying like, hey, are you guys getting in work? Like, how are they doing when they're not structured by you every single day?
Yeah, most of our guys are playing AAU somewhere. We got a couple guys playing really high level, like Josiah plays for West Virginia Gold. Chris, Avery, Tajay Harrison, they all play for Adapt Academy, Mountain State, Brantley Osborne on the HESL. So a lot of our guys play really high level AAU, and they work really hard away from the gym. I don't really have to worry about with most of them.
2 more for you. One, outside of just simply winning games and stay healthy, what do you think your staff and team needs to do to get back to the state tournament this year?
First off, we just got to get there. I mean, we haven't been since 2014. Yeah. Honestly, man, we just have to be good at what we do. And I think we're talented enough that if we're good at what we do, I used to be the coach. I even did this at middle school level. I used to scout people like crazy and try to nitpick and conform to other people and take away what they wanted to do. I'm at the point now where we're good enough in what we do that we're just going to do that every night. And so even our scouting reports are going to be a lot different. And so if we can, I would highlight 3 things. If we can take care of the basketball, pressure the basketball defensively, and get out in transition, I don't think we're going to lose too many basketball games. So those would be the 3 things that I would say are going to separate us in most games.
That's one for me. I like asking everybody this. Who's the toughest team you think you've faced since you've been a head coach?
I mean, probably last year's Spring Mills team. That team's really good, man. Like, I thought I had a genius game plan to make Caleb Thomas beat us because, truthfully, Caleb doesn't love to score the ball. He would much rather get his teammates involved. And then Caleb missed 3 shots and scored 43 points. And so, I went in after the game. Ian Proctor was all mad. And I said, Kean, what are you sad about? He's like, man, he scored 43 on me. I said, that was the game plan.
It was.
Like,
you had to try something different. You had to try something different against them. Everybody else was trying to do so many different things, but honestly, trying to take the ball away from everybody else and saying, "Hey, Caleb, go out there and score." Because again, I've never seen him score like that either until that game. But now looking back on, I'm like, "Damn, coach, that looks stupid." But at the time, I would have understood that game plan going into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After that, though, if you had to do that again, what would you? I mean, what would you do next? You had a chance to do it again.
I wouldn't deny Caleb. I would probably run more help at Caleb. We would switch a lot more screens. And last year was a little tougher because, like I said, we played with bigs. So switching everything wasn't always an option, but I probably just would have dealt with the matchups. Just rotated the help, scrambled on the backside, try to get out the shooters. But again, they had so many shooters on the floor at times that it was tough there too. So
and they rebounded the ball really well too, man. It was picture poison.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's definitely the best team that I've ever coached against, for sure.
Well, Josh, if you don't have any questions, and I'm all out of questions, Coach, we really appreciate you spending about 30 minutes with us today. Your energy and everything you're doing for the young men at Washington is really remarkable, and we appreciate you. And we wish you and the Washington program nothing but success. We'll definitely be watching. And thanks again for hopping on with us, my man.
Good to meet you, Coach. I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
Again, that's Coach Ryan Miller from Washington High School. Thanks again, Ryan. You have a good one, brother. A little bit towards the NCAA side of things. There's a lot of stuff going on with the NCAA, not only just basketball but football, but now schools can legally pay their athletes up to $20 million is going to kind of be like the salary cap per se. It's not a hard cap. Obviously, guys are going to get paid more with other NIL collectives. But like, Josh, what do you feel about that? Like, what do you think the future of the NCAA is going to look like in 5 to 10 years now after this historic ruling?
Yeah, I think like people like Jay Billis and people like him really make sense where there needs to be an even cap because there's gonna be paid. So I think just by conference, like you can't have one team in one conference have this cap and the lower team have less cap. They all need the same money. Big 12, you shouldn't have Kansas having less money to spend on NIL than West Virginia, first off.
Of course.
So I think if they do that, I mean, it'd be fine. But anytime we start talking about money with organizations, it's just like we're just throwing out opinions. But it's just like at the end of the day, we know what runs all these systems, and that's why like I kind of just like I gravitate towards just the hoop side of it because it's like, man, once you start bringing businesses in, it takes the fun out of the game. It takes all of that. But yeah, players need to be paid, but you shouldn't be able to be bought. Like you can be supplemented, but I don't like the just. I've transferred 4 times in my college career.
Right. And that's honestly, that's where I go to is I love the NIL. I think name, image, and likeness, kids deserve to get paid. I mean, it's tough out there. You're getting a free education. You go out there and work a full-time job, not getting any money, and still go to school, that you look at it a whole lot different. I promise you that. But also the transfer portal, man, it's just so oversaturated. And the time that it's opened up, I mean, again, it's a basketball pod, but we'll talk about football for a second. You're getting ready to play in a national championship game, and the portal opens up. You lose about 10 to 15 guys. It completely changes your whole dynamic for a team. Maybe they're practice guys,
I mean, why not
but how do you
extend
go
the
to
date?
fulfill?
Why not just extend the deadlines? I mean,
Or just make it one time during the summer that everybody gets to transfer. And I feel like you should get 2 transfers. You should get one regular transfer where you don't have to apply for a transfer or anything. And then the second one is, okay, obviously your coach leaves, or you maybe have a hardship with the family, or you want to get closer to home. And that should eliminate, like, the next time you transfer, you have to sit out a year like how it was pre-2021. But that's just such a sensitive topic. And going even back to high school, like I remember a couple months ago, I was talking to some people. I even made a post on Facebook saying, hey, like I think this is not necessarily a good idea.
I was commenting on it. I agree with you.
Yeah, if you're in the same conference, like let's say again, you go from Capital to GW, or you go from Riverside to South Charleston or something like that. You're not improving your odds of going to go play at the next level. If anything, you're hurting them. The first thing a coach is going to do if they're recruiting you is talk to anybody that has any sort of relationship with you, because they're going to evaluate you as a person first before a basketball player. And that's just life in general. I mean,
it's the parents as well. I mean, these are kids we're talking about. So it's like, yeah, the kids might be like, yeah, sure. I mean, why would you not? But the parents they're supposed to be like, look, man, this is how you're supposed to be. Like, we're not just letting you take outs. Like, when I was in 9th and 10th grade, I'd be at AU tournaments. Huntington Prep's assistant coaches, they're like, hey, we'll pay for your dorms if you come. Like, that's before you can even, like, you can't even get scholarships in high school. It's like, come on. Obviously, that could happen. But, like, why would you do that in high school? You know, it just doesn't make sense. But, yeah, I'm not a fan of the high school transfers at all. I think, like, maybe, like, you could grant them a one-time thing, maybe. But it's just like, bro, you can't transfer. Don't transfer to a high school program. Post on Twitter that you just announced your commitment to another. Come on, man.
Right. And again, we don't want to sound like we're hating, because there's different circumstances for everything. Like, I understand some kids need a transfer because maybe that relationship with the coach is just so fractured, or there's trust gone within the school and administration, and you need to go. I think a one-time transfer is completely okay, but I think you need to use it before the start of your junior year. Because
I mean, it needs to be common sense rules too. It's like you don't just transfer because you want to. Like, I mean, I played for 4 different coaches in high school. Every year, different coaches. Now, there's coaches that some are good, some aren't good. Obviously, I played for some really bad ones. I played for some decent ones, but obviously it would have been better for me if I transferred to another school that had a better coach that would have promoted me and helped me get recruited and do all this. And like, that makes sense. But my thing is, if you're going to leave for a sport reason, then go prep. Don't go across the street. If you're
Yeah,
going to
go
transfer
private,
in
go
high
prep.
school, go to a prep school where it develops an athlete. Don't transfer schools because you think like you're going to have a better, like it just doesn't make sense to me to do that. I don't like it. And I think that's a lot that goes into why America, this is another topic I was thinking about earlier, why America youth, high school, why the European game and the international game is starting to pass it up because
I mean, not just
they're
pass it
not
up.
doing it like that.
Flying by it, Josh. Like
Exactly.
the overall fundamental game of basketball, if you look at it over the last 20 years, the Europeans and everybody overseas, they're winning MVPs. They're starting to become better. I mean, you saw how far we got pushed in the Olympics this year when we had the dream team. I mean, this was the best three players of the last two generations, the last two decades playing together, and they barely beat France by 4 points with Nick
Well, and the
Batum
thing is,
knocking down shots.
these guys on our team, they still came up the right way. So it's going to be the next generation of these Olympics where we're really going to be losing because the problem is that they're developing players still. So you're growing up, like this is my whole, I mean, I have a million philosophies on the ways different things are. Youth basketball right now, Kobe used to say this 10, 12 years ago. They were like, we hate AAU, we hate this, we hate trainers. Because EuroLeague and international, they're developing the fundamentals of a player still. Yeah, so like the international game, like they're developing these guys at a young age. So 6, 7 years old, you start touching the ball. I'm talking about international guys. You're working on fundamentals. So you're working on passing, dribbling, shooting, you're doing normal things. America now, you're 6, 7 years old, you're playing for an AAU team with these coaches that have egos that are traveling kids out of state every weekend, full court pressing the whole game, winning by 30 off layups, and then when they get in high school and college and the pros, their bag is non-existent.
No bag. None.
So they're not developing players anymore because youth basketball, AAU basketball, it's just not about the fundamentals of the game.
It's almost cloud chasing. I mean, listen, there's some AAU programs. And again, I've coached AAU this year that I played against that are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they're teaching the right way of the game, but that's so few and far between. I mean, most of these
Exactly.
teams, like you see teams that have no right to even be there. Like they got guys that are not saying that's again body positivity, but they're overweight or they're 5'4". They're not even getting anybody better, and they're taking up space in these tournaments.
Yeah.
And these coaches are just letting kids do whatever they want. They're player ran teams, and I get at the high school level, the best teams are really player ran teams that are accountable. But when you're coaching 15, 14-year-old kids and they're running the team, they're calling offense out there, they're not learning anything. There's no basis on fundamental activity. There's no skill coaches in this area, even here.
That's my thing. That's my thing is why are you playing so many games then? Why are you playing games? Why aren't you practicing? Why aren't you getting better as players? These guys overseas aren't playing, going to a tournament, playing 5 games in a day. You shouldn't even be playing multiple games in a day anyways, if you want to be real. That's a whole nother subject. That's why injuries and all these things you see happening now. You shouldn't even be playing games that often, let alone playing games at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and you're not getting fundamental skill work in. Like you shouldn't, first of all, you shouldn't even travel outside of your district if you're not in 9th grade basketball. I mean, why are you taking 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds out of state to play AAU basketball? They're not getting
Just to kill their
recruited.
confidence.
They're not getting recruited.
No.
They haven't got the strength to shoot right yet. They haven't hit their growth spurts. Why are you taking them out? You know why they're taking them out? Because the coaches and organizations, those guys and those organizations are doing it for them. They want to be popular. They want to say, we won a championship. Overseas, they don't do that, bro. They're developing players, fundamentals. I would be like, guys, what? We're not going out of state. We're not going to AU tournament every weekend. We're practicing. We're going to learn how to play basketball. But yeah, I mean,
and I think there's got to be an onus that's put on the skill development because
that's the point.
there's a couple guys like I know Brantley Osborne out here and my guy Marcus Roper that I played with at Mont Alto. Those two guys put a lot of pride and effort in developing, especially our youth, 8 to 15-year-old kids. They're skill wise. Obviously, fundamentals are such a missing component of the game. You can see it out there so vividly. Kids can't dribble with their left hand, or they're putting their head right down to the bucket. They're not making the extra pass. They're losing themselves on the floor. Spacing is all wrong, and that's all coming from the small, minor details in the beginning of practice where you go through your fundamentals or you go through your pure pressure drills.
That's my thing. If you can't do those minimum things, why are we playing multiple games in a weekend out of state or out of the county? Why are we playing AAU? Or why are we playing, like, you need to work on your fundamentals, bro. Have practices, work. That's just the whole problem. But we get into egos, programs. The United States youth basketball has turned into this spectacle. So it's not. That's why you got players in the summer league right now. You're like, why do these guys not have an offensive bag? Because they were never doing it. They were never doing it. They were playing on these teams that would press the whole game at 5th grade, win by 40. None of the players even knew how to play basketball.
You'd be surprised. If you go ask just 10 random 15, 18-year-old kids, go post up on the block. Let me see how you post somebody up. I bet you only one or two could do it, just because obviously that part of the game's been really taken out because of the three and D and getting to the rim. Analytics have really changed the game of basketball. But you know the most wide open shot in the game right now, the mid range jumper, because all they're doing is guarding the 3-point line in the paint. People, if you find an area in the mid range, which what you lived on, Josh, like you made a living on hitting mid range jumpers, especially your junior
Then
year.
I transitioned into the college game and just extended it out. But that's the thing too. Like I was thinking the other day, analytics to me is personnel based. A good shot for SGA is not the same percentage of a good shot as Ray Allen. So it's like if you have Ray Allen, this isn't a good shot analytically. It is for Shea. So I'm not gonna say take these shots, bro. It's personnel based. If that's your game, you're my personnel, you're my team. We're playing to your strengths. We don't care if we're supposed to shoot 1,000,000 threes a game. If we can't shoot, we can't shoot. I'm not going to shoot just to shoot. But yeah, it's like the whole youth, bro. It's all of that. It's all that stuff combined. You have to work on the fundamentals of the game, bro. You have to. But we're at a place where we're just cloud chasing out here.
Of course, and there is such an emphasis on analytics on all three levels: high school, college, and
I
NBA.
do like the analytics, I really do, but I'm just not going to live or die by the numbers. Like, come on, it's personnel.
It's the advanced analytics that I think is what should be followed. A lot of people are just following field goal attempts. They're following free throws made, turnovers, and maybe plus minus, which is cool. That'll tell you a little bit.
Yeah,
but when you get into the you get the PER and the advanced stats and overall plus minus of your impact on the floor for a season, or your hot and cold zones on the floor, where you're most effective at. You know, if whether you're a small forward, a power forward, point guard, shooter guard, combo guard, you got to be able to break that down to film on the floor and then put those numbers in. And that's where you get those advanced analytics. When you're just reading off all this guy, he was 1 for 7 from 3 today, but the 1 3 he hit was where he was supposed to be at, and he's a 45% shooter from the corner.
I don't like limiting a team to an analytic. So I don't want to say my team as a unit needs to be doing these things. Each player has their own skills. So I'm not saying like as a team we need to do that. My best players need to be shooting these shots. Like,
of course,
I'm not going to say, well, we need to do this analytically. So no, my best players need to do what they're best at.
Of course.
And we got to do it like in the best way for us to win. But
yeah, man. And like you said, it's just everybody wants to look at analytics. Everybody wants to forget about the fundamentals. It's you have to concentrate on the small things, because the small things turn into the big things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the most important thing, like we were just chopping up about, is the youth. You have to work on the youth. You got to get the youth fundamentally sound first, and everything else is just like extra. I mean, you have to develop a player first. You have to, like, I went to basketball camp at 6 years old, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. I would have never learned that from any school I was attending. If I didn't go to those camps, I wouldn't have learned anything. I wouldn't have been able to even handle the ball. That's why everybody else I was playing with couldn't. So I was lucky to do that.
Right. And,
as a high school and middle school coach, you have to do that, bro.
Right. No. And that's a way to put a bundle on it. Like you said, it all starts with the fundamentals. That'll take you as far as you want to go. And after you ace those, that's when you can start adding different tools to your bag. Maybe you want to put up a tween behind the back spin or something like that. Start working with George Mikan around the rim, different fillet packages. That's where you can start adding to your game. But if you don't have a fundamental base, like if you can't do the spider drill, or if you can't do simple concepts within basketball, like a chest pass, a bounce pass, you know, if you don't know the game with zero basketball IQ, you're wasting time trying to figure out advanced stuff compared to actually knowing what gets you on the floor. You know what I mean?
As a parent, develop your kid at a young age, 6 years old, 7 years old. Put them in basketball camps. Put them in fundamental camps. Don't get them a trainer that is teaching them crossovers that Kyrie Irving's doing. Like, you have to learn fundamentals. Then make sure they're playing all the time. Like, get them in leagues. AAU's fine if it's the right people. But
of course,
you got to find, I mean, good luck finding the AAU program. You got to search through a bunch of bad ones to find a good one. But you have to develop them, bro. You have to develop them.
I agree. And, you know, we've been kind of going on a tangent, you know, with the overall development and fundamentals and analytics. We'll move forward to the guys that actually make a lot of money, the professional ranks. And we'll start talking about a little breakdown of not only the last season, but we'll kind of do a little bit of look ahead for, you know, the 2025-2026 NBA season. So obviously
100%.
the Thunder, the Thunder beat the Pacers in 7. Tyrese Halliburton obviously tore his Achilles in Game 7 right there, so it really allowed the Thunder to kind of pull away and didn't give him much of a chance. But I really enjoyed this season, Josh. I
Me
thought,
too.
top to bottom, it was competitive. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
going into the playoffs, I looked at the Cavs. I said, man, they have two bigs that are absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, they were a little beat up, but they were my favorites. I thought that they were going to steamroll through the East with the Celtics being beat up. I didn't think the Knicks really had a realistic chance, but man, I tell you what, them Pacers got on one of the best Cinderella runs that maybe might ever happen, Josh.
What I'm seeing a transition in style of play in the NBA. Half of it is actual style of play. The other half is just effort. So you got now like these teams, especially OKC, they're doing the same thing as Indiana's doing, but it's flipped. So OKC now is playing the most physical, full court defense you'll see from an NBA team.
Right.
Schematically, I mean they're running around like a college team out there playing great defense. Indiana's doing the exact same thing offensively. So you're seeing like the college/international brand of basketball kind of branching into the NBA now, and you're about to see a lot faster play, which is the best thing that could happen for the NBA right now. I want to see a team run a transition offense. I want to see a team play great defense. It's just crazy that it took this long to start getting guys to do that, but that's exactly why those two teams were where they were at the end of the year. That's exactly why.
Right. And both those two teams actually relied on analytics a lot. Like Rick Carlisle is
I
obsessed
love
with
Rick
numbers.
Carlisle.
I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in America. I think he ended up costing them a series in that Game 5 performance where they had to lead late. They could have went up 3-2, really could have put a stranglehold in the series and just needed one of those last two. Could have finished it off at home. But of course, I mean, he's a human. He's going to make mistakes. But when you speak on the speed and the transition, I mean, you look at the Nuggets though with Jokic and Murray. They play more of a slower pace, but their half court offense is even sped up. So they're still applying pressure. They might walk the ball down the floor, but once they get into their actions, everybody's moving, and it's such a great flow.
Yeah, my main one of my main things is going to be like when I get into as a coach for myself, like number one thing, like transition offense. You have to have a transition offense. So like you have to adapt with the game now. So before you even think about a half court offense, a half court motion, I'm throwing motions out the window too, but that's a different story. Transition offense, you have to have a transition offense. Saying as the ball make or miss, we're having places we're going every time. This is how we're inbounding it. This is how fast we're getting it out. We're trying to get the fastest bucket as we can. And then if we don't get a bucket, we're going right into something else. That's what Indiana's doing, and that's what a lot of teams in the NBA are starting to do more of. And then OKC's doing it on defense. They're doing the same exact thing. They're getting up in you. They're trapping screens. They're stealing the ball. They're playing physical. That's how the NBA needs to be played. We have the best athletes in the world.
Right. Okay, let's give soccer a little bit of credit because those guys are absolute freaks and just run all day. But basketball, I think talent, because basketball is so mental that people don't understand. Like that ball is really big compared to the rim that it's going in.
Yeah.
I
mean like the best basketball athletes in the world. There's no reason that the NBA shouldn't be getting up in you like college and high school players are.
Of course.
You got the best players in the world. Get up in your offensive player, bro. Guard them. Like get up in them. Trap them. Steal the ball. Press them. Like they make or miss the ball, like sprint out of there, bro. Pass the ball up, shoot the ball, like play hard, man. That's all I'm talking about. Like, just play hard, play fast.
But like you said, playing hard and playing fast should just be a given. And I think a lot of times people think that the NBA, they're not playing defense. And it gets confused because these guys are so good offensively. They're just putting the ball in the hoop at all times. It's easy for them. These guys are shooting 50, 40, 90. There's a lot of people that had that talent in the league that could do that. It's still they're playing great defense.
That's
so these
why
guys
I love the Thunder, though, man. The Thunder said, you know what? We're imposing our will on you. So it's like, yeah, you are a good player, but you're not as good when I'm up in your space. So it's like the Thunder are schematically what the Thunder does on defense. It's schematically formed. Like they have rules for how they're doing picks, how they're trapping screens, when somebody drives, they're automatically the other guys coming behind them and getting that back steal. But I love the Pacers transition offense, man. Like, and you don't have to even copy theirs. Just have a transition offense that you run. Like run a transition set every single time to start.
There should be a ball screen and opposite side action every single possession, especially say you're not able to get to the cup and finish. Okay, bring that thing back out. You saw Nimhard or Tyrese Halliburton. They were getting into the action with either Miles Turner, Obi Toppin, and a lot of times Miles is crashing to the rim and you have Obi sitting out. How many threes did you see Obi hit off a pick and pop?
I'm saying the team makes or miss. As soon as the other team makes or misses, both of my guys are darting to the corner.
Right, as they should.
The guy that's rebounding
Spacing.
the ball, the guard is not coming below the free throw line. He's already on his way
Right.
out. It's
Yep.
you're just moving the ball. If you don't get a look, you're going into something quick. Motion offenses, set plays are going out the window now. Everything is conceptual actions, which I think is amazing because you got to actually
All organic. Yep.
you got to have you're just running a bunch of action. This is continuity. What's it called? Continuity
Continuous.
offense. Yeah,
Yeah, of
it's
course.
just continuity. It's just different concepts. So I love that. You were still in the NBA. The Thunder almost $1 billion they signed between their 3 stars.
And you got to keep that team together, especially that core. And obviously, everybody wants to throw out that second apron. They have so much younger guys that they with all their draft capital and everybody that they have coming up, they're going to be able to afford it. A lot of what they're going to do is obviously probably Caruso is going to get unloaded at some point. You're going to have Wiggins probably get unloaded at some point. Hartenstein's going to get they're going to just replace those guys with rookies and vets that are going to be serviceable and trust J-Dub, Chet, and Shea.
They each got over $250 million, bro.
Right.
That's the Billy squad right there. I mean, they made almost $1 billion together. Like that's insane.
I mean, by the time that their career is over, they will have $1 billion combined together. But what concerns me with this Thunder team is not next year. I think the next 2 years is their window. That's their true window. I think they'll get one in the next 2 years for sure.
Oh, I think they would too.
If they, I think just because of the way they play, obviously that defensive continuity, I mean that's a terrific coach right there. I mean, like you said, his defensive rotations are insane.
It's Rick Carlisle on defense.
It is
That's the
exactly. No, that's why I had them as my favorite in the West next year. I mean,
that's the thing with the NBA. Every team has the potential to do these things. They just
they do.
They need to have the effort to do it. They could have been playing this way. All these teams could have been playing this way. Now they're going to start having to do it, which I love that type of basketball.
Right, and you look at the standings though last year. Like let's just go to the West. Obviously, you had the Thunder, Rockets, Lakers, Nuggets, Clippers, Timberwolves, Warriors, Grizzlies, Kings, and Mavs, who all made it. And obviously, the Suns missed out with KD, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker. But I look at that. I think the Rockets are going to be in great shape again next year. The Thunder are going to be in great shape. The Lakers, I'm a little concerned with because again, I mean they got Ayton, but what's Bron's status? Like, what does he want to do? It's obviously Luka's team. This is the first time in LeBron's career that I would say he's actually expendable. Josh, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's not going to leave the Lakers though. I think he's going to finish it out there. Just him and Bronny's there, and I think Luke. I mean, there's just really not any situation I see him going that's that much better where he would want it. Plus, I don't think he wants to like have that on his resume. I'm leaving again to try to win. So I think they'll thug it out. I think I was making notes earlier like who I thought like my early MVPs and stuff would be. I definitely think Luka in shape this year, MVP candidate. Like if I had to say like
100%.
who's my MVP, that's my early MVP. I think Luka's going to be in shape, healthy. He's going to look amazing.
I think Ant. I see Luka. I feel like Luka would definitely be a top 3. But the way Ant took over towards the last 2 or 3 months last year, and obviously winning 2 big series, made it to the Western Conference Finals again, back to back, at just 23 years old. I mean, this kid's got star power written all over him. I think the Clippers are still going to be a really tough out. I think Harden and Kawhi are starting to figure it out. If they can stay healthy and actually can finish off a series, they should have beat the Nuggets to me. I think they outplayed Denver in round 1. And
Denver added some guys. I mean, they got rid of Porter and brought Cam Johnson in. But
I love that. I truly love that, especially on the defensive side of the ball for them.
They got Tim Hardaway Jr. too, and they got Brett Brown, whoever.
They got right back, and that was that was huge for their championship. Yep.
They got Jokic motivated again. They had to add some guys so he would stay. He's like, all right, now I'm back.
I think the big question is there's been a little bit of slippage from Murray. I mean, it's not significant enough to say that he's not a top 10 point guard in the league, but a lot of their success next year in Denver is going to ride on how well Jamal Murray plays.
Yeah, respectfully, I just don't think Denver has enough outside of Jokic to win the finals. I just don't think they do. Because
and what's crazy, you put yourself 3 years ago, that team looked like it was destined to be a dynasty. And you look at the Celtics last year, you're like, oh, that team's definitely reloading. But the way the NBA is now, it's just so much parity, bro.
Yeah, you got to separate too, East and West. So East injured this year from the East. You got to take the Pacers and you got to take the Celtics out of there. So now that's why like my biggest.
What about the Bucks too? They don't got obviously Lillard just got let go. You have Turner. What's Giannis's future? The Magic I think are going to be a tough out too.
That's the thing for me. So now you got the Magic, right? Orlando. You got the Atlanta Hawks, right? Those are 2 teams right there that I think the Atlanta Hawks are my favorite team in this offseason for sure.
We talked about that a couple weeks ago. Their pickups have been tremendous.
I mean, you have Porzingis, but after Trae Young, every player on that team is 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", 3-and-D guys, the whole roster.
Yeah, defensive minded for sure.
So you got
I mean,
guys
they
that
just
can
they
knock
had the
down
number
the
one
whole
pick last
roster.
year too.
The whole roster.
Yep.
So, I mean, they have the number one pick from last year. They have Johnson. They have all these guys, huge, tall, defensive three-point shooters. I have Porzingis. You have guys from last year. You got a weak East. So I think Orlando, Atlanta, that's my two sleepers. I think one of those teams definitely can make the conference finals, can make the finals for sure. That's my two sleepers for sure.
Obviously, everything in me wants to say Cavs, Knicks next year in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Eastern Conference
That's the
Finals.
two favorites for the East for sure.
For sure. But I truly think the Magic and the Pistons will have something to say about it.
Yeah.
And this is my crazy, probably not the best time to say this right now, but I think the 76ers are going to be a majorly improved team
You think
next
so?
year. I'm telling you, I think if PG's healthy and if Joel Embiid's just half of what he used to be, they're going to find themselves probably in the top 8. And anything could happen with Joel Embiid if he's healthy, and if Paul George is knocking down shots, that team's not going to be easy out. It was tough for them last year with injuries. I think the whole situation just never truly came together. But I think, give it one more year, see what happens, at least to the All-Star break. I think the Sixers can definitely turn it around.
Yeah, my thing is, I think you cross off the Celtics, you cross off the Pacers, and then I think you just plug right in the Pistons, the Pistons, the Hawks,
Yep.
I mean, you just plug those guys in. So I think it's anybody's game. Whoever's healthy between those guys, I mean, I love the Hawks though. I love the Hawks. Ben Caro is a dog, so he'll take them as far as he can too.
So if I had to go with my top 8 in the East next year, I think the Knicks are going to win the regular season crown, and I got the Cavs behind them. I'm going to put the Pistons at 3, Hawks at 4, Magic at 5, Sixers at 6. Man, part of me wants to put Miami at 7 just because there's going to be such a tough out. They'll probably get that 10 seed in the play-in. And then I'm going to say Bucks at 8.
Who do you think that you don't got in there has the best chance to make it in there?
The best chance that I don't have in there,
I
I'd say the Pacers.
got mine for sure.
I'd say the Pacers just because you have probably one of the best coaches in the league. They still have Nimhard. You still have Obi. You still have a solid group with decent depth. I think they could find a way to make the 7th or 8th seed for sure.
I got a bold one for the East, especially being hurt. I think that the Hornets can finally get in that play-in next year.
Man, they're so unserious of an organization.
I think
brother.
a healthy Hornets, LaMelo, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, those guys offensively are good enough to make.
One of those 3 are getting traded at the deadline for sure.
If they're healthy, they can make the play-in. Because, bro, there's no reason they shouldn't. Those guys are dogs.
This is my hot take. I think
made some moves too.
I think LaMelo Ball is going to end up going to the Warriors for major draft capital.
Oh, he needs to get out of there.
And Kuminga. I think they'll trade Kuminga. They'll probably trade 2 or 3 first-round picks, and maybe another player. Like maybe Miles Bridges might come back too.
They made some smaller moves. I can't remember everybody they got, but I know they got Colin Sexton. They got somebody else, an older player. But I think the East is wide open, bro. Anybody, like, once you get after 8, all those teams could be in the play-in together, and there's no reason I don't think LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller can win a series together. Those guys are offensively dogs.
But I think it all starts with that culture. I mean, we've been talking about this for both high school and NCAA. That culture is just so terrible.
You got to build it.
They're not going to be able to do. Like, I just don't. I can't take them serious.
I know.
Even if they make the play-in next year, so what? LaMelo needs to find a new organization. I just think that organization just does not value winning as much as.
It's almost crazy that that's an NBA team.
It is. I mean, think about it. Bobcats.
It's like an AAU team. It's like an AAU team to me. It's so crazy. We got to talk about some summer league stuff too.
Yeah, like I look at them, Utah and New Orleans, kind of as those teams that do y'all really even care about this? Like Danny Ainge is just unloading everybody. It's. I just feel like those 3 teams, I don't really give any sort of chance for next year.
There's a bunch. Just real quick, Duncan Robinson went to the Pistons. Schroeder went to the Kings. Hardaway Jr. Nuggets. Brooke Lopez Clippers. Obviously, KD Rockets. That's my favorite to win it all, obviously, off rip. That's another thing. Who's the favorite to win it all for you? Mine's definitely a healthy Rockets, if they're healthy.
I can't go with the Rockets, man. My healthy team to win it all would be the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think that Donovan Mitchell gets it done this year, man. I think them losing last year in the second round to Indiana will help them really reevaluate.
I think they won't even have I don't think they'll have a tough road to even get out there. I think they're getting out there for sure. I think the West is where it's at. The East is just like, who wants to prove themselves next year?
I could see. I think the Rockets, like I said, it'll be Thunder, Rockets, maybe possibly Timberwolves, Thunder again. It's just hard for me to see an avenue where anybody outside of Denver can beat the Thunder. I just don't think anybody can match up. You need somebody so superhero like how Jokic was.
See, I
Maybe
like this
Houston,
though. I like a Min Thompson guarding Shea.
and I love it too. I mean, like you said, he's probably he's got to be the best defender in the league. I mean,
Shingun is an all-star.
yeah,
Then
he's terrific.
you got
Terrific.
Kevin Durant.
Yep.
So I mean,
And,
I love that squad, and you got a great coach. He's a dog.
I mean that was a great coach. If he could have just probably kept himself together in Boston, he could have had a couple right now. And like you said, they're going to be a phenomenal out. I would say they're going to be a top 3 team.
That team's nasty.
Yeah.
Healthy, they're nasty.
I don't really give. I think the Grizzlies. I think they're moving backwards. I know they traded Bane and they're really invested in Jackson and Ja, but you've had 5 years of that. You're not getting out of the first round. And the Suns, they were in the best position 4 years ago. You think about 2021 before the finals. I was like, man, this Suns team is so good. Devin Booker, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges. I mean, they were phenomenal. Bro.
It's always what ifs. It's always what ifs.
Yeah.
It's like the Nets with Harden and KD and Kyrie. It's like, what ifs?
Yeah, I think Chris Paul really helped them out too. But Chris Paul gets hurt in every game 6 that matters and is just not available. So,
it's kind of an irrelevant thing. But the Utah Jazz won 16 games last year. I think they're going to have a solid year. They have. I look at
Walker
them.
Kessler's.
I look at them in the next 5 years. They got marketing. They got Walter Clayton Jr., Bailey.
Bailey. But I don't know. I feel like Ace Bailey's really similar to Jalen Green, man. I've been saying this.
I like Ace Bailey, though. I like him as a role player. I don't like him as like my guy that's going to lead me to the finals.
I know. I just feel like mentality-wise, again, this whole draft class, like kids were like, oh, I don't want to go there.
No, it's
you
weird.
and I, if we had an opportunity to even be drafted 60th overall, I would be pick me,
yeah.
please.
They're doing that in NFL. They're doing that everywhere. They're just saying where they don't want to go.
We're missing the hunger. The guys that grew up from nothing that
goes back to what I said earlier, though. That's this American culture now. So you don't want to go somewhere, you don't want to play somewhere. Guess what you can do? You can go.
Yeah.
Whether it's high school, whether it's AAU, whether it's NBA, NFL, you can just go. But I think.
Or you can just
go ahead.
Or you can just stay in college or stay overseas where you're making plenty of money. Yeah. I mean, nowadays, like you said, the top guys, football, basketball, baseball, they're getting paid at the NCAA level now. I mean, they're getting seriously. It's not an amateur athletics anymore. This is actually professional sports now, Josh.
Yeah, I think we're in the mix of stay on the NBA for a second. I think we're in the mix now of just a changing of all the guards. So we're getting stars changing, but I also think all these smaller teams, like we just named a bunch. Pistons, you got Spurs. So you got the Spurs are loaded, bro. The Spurs are loaded. Too. They got Fox, Vasil, you got Castle, Embiid. That team's loaded. You got not Milwaukee, you got the Magic. I mean, these teams are getting the Hawks. They're all going to be up there, bro.
And you know, one team that we have not talked about that I truly think if they are healthy will be probably the best team in the league.
Dallas.
And Nico Harrison's a genius.
Yeah.
He's a genius. I'm telling you right now.
Respectfully, I don't love Anthony Davis. I liked him like at his peak, but right now I just don't love where he's at mentally. I feel like he's just not in there mentally, man. He's just not in there. I
mean, think about it. Your best friend for the last 6 years, somebody you won a championship with, who you thought like, hey, you're gonna get a statue in LA. Like, oh, never mind. We're gonna go for the younger, shinier thing in Luka. But I tell you what, that's a motivational thing. And if Kyrie doesn't get hurt last year and they could have found a way to sneak in, I think that team could have been very dangerous. And with Cooper Flag now and the shooters around them, I'll tell you, man, I think Dallas is going to be really tough out next year.
Let's transition to Cooper Flag while we're there because I got to talk about him. So Cooper Flag to me has been one of the hardest players for me to like evaluate in years because I don't know where I have him at. I don't know what I think of his game. Like, it's just so hard for me to pinpoint what he is, which probably means that he's great because it's like he's like such a unicorn, bro.
Player.
Yeah. I don't know how to even this is what I wanted to ask you. Who do you think, past or present, who do you compare him to? It took me forever to find a name, and it still doesn't compare.
I mean, with the explosion,
like it's all around game. Who does he remind you of?
He honestly has a little bit of Kenyon Martin to him, just the way he plays.
Like, he just handles better.
He's a point guard. He's a point guard that like six. He's huge. He's brawly. I mean, you got to realize he's still a kid. He's 18 years old. Like he's supposed to be in college this year, and I think he could find a way to make an All-NBA team right now with having Kyrie out and AD's injury availability. You know what I mean?
I love what Jason Kidd said. He said, we're running through him. Like, we're running point forward. We're running through Cooper Flag. I'm like, yes, I love that. Because I told who did I tell? I told one of my friends. I was like, bro, I think maybe like a Pascal Siakam or like a young Garnett, maybe. Like I can't even
The
think of.
KG, yeah, that's a good.
That's just the only ones I could even think of close. But it's like he's
And at the end of the day, he's still way better. I think offensively, he has such an open table. I mean, you think about the Olympics that he was playing on the select team last year,
yeah.
and there was highlights coming out, grilling Bron,
The
going
thing with
KD,
him, he's
grilling Booker.
freakishly athletic.
Yeah, like we were like, oh my gosh. I mean, we're
I
both white
think
boys. You said this man got bounced for a white boy, bro.
he's
He punched the
generationally,
thing.
regardless of white boy, he's generationally athletic.
Generational.
So that's
It's
the
insane.
thing. He has he's blessed bounce wise, right?
Right.
And he has
He
all
is.
the skills of a point guard. The
I
problem
mean, he's got a 7-foot wingspan
yeah.
too.
Now, I saw Tim Legler was saying this the other night on the broadcast, and I was like, wow, this is a great point. His shot is a little chalk. Like, his release is a little chalk. Like, it's coming off his – but, like, Legler even said, like, it's coming off of his hand weird. So, like,
Yeah,
he's going to have to try to tweak it a little bit to shoot consistent from three.
especially on his fingertip. I was seeing something like a breakdown too. The ball still sits on his palm right here. A good shooter is keeping the ball. He should be able to put 2 fingers underneath the basketball.
It's
when you
not
let it go.
coming out straight. I mean, that's
No.
the thing. So Legler was talking about,
He's
like, look,
flicking
he's
like
going to have
this.
to fix it. Yeah, it's not coming
Yeah.
off straight. So that's his one weakness, which that's the thing is, like, I'm fine with him being my point guard, honestly. If we're being real, like, if I'm Dallas, I'm like,
Yeah.
look, Kyrie's off the ball. Who's guarding Cooper Flag if he's playing that way?
You're gonna have to put your best defender on him because he's gonna.
Yeah.
His best. I think his best trait is the way he's able to put pressure on a defense and gets to the rim. And he's also a very underrated passer, brother.
But that's what
He can
I view
pass
him
that
as
thing.
my point. I view him as a point guard. Really,
Yeah.
that's how I view Cooper
Yeah.
Flag. I view him as a point guard with crazy bounce, a questionable shooter, but he doesn't even really need to at this point. So
Yeah.
on a team like Dallas, bro, you put Kyrie on the wing, let him be off ball a little bit. You got Clay in the corner. You can't help off of him. You got healthy AD. Dallas Mavericks will be everybody's favorite, but will they be healthy is a whole nother story. So.
And again, like you said, like, what's Jason Kidd going to do? I feel like Jason Kidd's so unpredictable as a coach.
He said that
like,
he wants Flag to be running point. Like, he wants him running the ball a lot. Like, he wants him on ball a lot.
But where's his mindset? Like, how is he going to coach Flag? Like, Cooper's. I'm not saying he's like an NPC or a bot per se.
No, I think
but he's
Cooper's
all
good.
basketball.
I think Cooper is great because I think, like, he comes from Duke, so you can literally chew him out on the sideline. Like, Shire coaches him hard, Kill coaches him hard. Because think about this, you can coach him harder than you can coach Kyrie and AD. So you won't have any problem coaching Cooper Flag.
The problem with when you're coaching those superstars, they already have that like leverage in who they are.
You got to have a guy they
status.
respect. You got to have a guy they respect.
Yeah, you can't really chew them out unless they're able to handle like a Tom Brady or something, Bill Belichick, where they have already had that relationship. You know, you have AD and Kyrie coming from 4 or 5 different teams. Well, AD's played for 2, Kyrie's played for 4 other teams. They've heard so many different voices. They don't care what you got to say. They're going to do what's best for them and what they think can help the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree.
So, but obviously, you know, one of our last topics we'll talk about is the summer league. Obviously, Cooper Flag just got shut down. They saw enough out of him. You sent me that one video on Twitter where he was punched on a dude. It looked like his knee was about to twist. That's
He's
when they
been
said,
going crazy, man.
Obviously, you know, with the summer league, you know, we're going to go talk about some of their scores and some of the best performers. Who's really caught your eye this year in the summer league, Josh?
Obviously, Cooper Flag. I think Cooper Flag is one of those generational guys. Struggled the first game. Wemby struggled the first game when he was out there. But
2 for 13.
Yeah. So Bronny's out there. Bronny gets the attention. What I really noticed with the summer league though is these guys that from the years past. So you got sophomore guys. You got like guys like Drew Timme, right? Player of the year contender when he was at Gonzaga, right? 30 points the other night. You got Kyle Filipowski from Duke. 30 points the other night, right? So when you're comparing those guys to like the rookies of this year, it's like, how much does this even translate, first of all, because those guys are coming in there and bullying these guys.
Of course. I mean, like you said, you got Reed Shepherd, who's obviously got NBA experience, Patrick Baldwin Jr.
So how
Terrence
much can it
Shannon
even
Jr.
transfer? I mean,
it's just completely different level. I think the summer league shows you.
Exactly.
I think it's even a level before the G League in the summer league.
My biggest takeaway from the summer league is that it's a level below the level. It's below the G League.
I would go NBA. Then I'd go G League, Summer League, and then I'm going Euro League. That's the where the talent I feel like flows. You know what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah, because I mean, there's so many good players. I mean, all kinds of players have had good games in the summer league. I mean, all the guys like Harper, Shepherd, Top, all these guys are playing good. But it's like the guys from the years past are coming in there like, we know what's going on in the summer league. We're coming here, we're dominating. I don't think you can take much away from the summer league. Period. So I want him to spend much time on the summer league. I don't think you can take much away from it, other than it's like these guys already know each other. We're just hooping. I mean,
And I think that's where we're a little bit different at. Is I think the summer league is actually a huge level of what type of person you're going to have. It's like, say, with Victor Wembanyama last year in his first game, we went 2 for 13. He had 5 blocks, he had 4 steals, he was rebounding the basketball. You still had that eye test, like, okay, this guy definitely can still play. He just has a lot of time to put it together.
Yeah.
But what, like, you got Drew Timme, who's a polished fundamental, star in college, who really has already reached his ceiling. That's you can't really evaluate him off of what he's doing in summer league, because he's basically playing the same level. I'd say summer league and the NCAA tournament
That's the
are,
thing.
neck and neck.
And
You know what I
that's
mean?
what they're all playing at. So that's the hard part about that level of play. It's like,
Right.
what are you guys
Right.
going to do? And like, but Drew Timme, like talking about Drew Timme, like he came in Brooklyn last year and gave some good minutes. I think he had some good games. But it's just
I
like,
remember he got called up and he was all overjoyed. He had like 22 in his first game that he played. Yeah, no,
But-
Drew Timme definitely, he's a talent. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a great college player. Like, you look at Frank Kaminsky from Wisconsin back in 2015, where they beat with Kentucky. That team that was undefeated.
and
What has he done
it
in
doesn't
the
translate.
NBA?
It doesn't translate.
No,
That's the
it
thing with the
doesn't. You
NBA
have to
too.
be
Like,
athletic.
the NBA, I was telling you this the other day, but stars, people overlook this. Role players in the NBA is where the money's at. It's where the longevity's at. If you're a role player in the NBA and you're willingly doing it and you're providing something to help your star, that's where your career is at, man. Every team only has 1 or 2 stars, so the majority of the league is role players. You got to be good at something. Everybody can't be out there trying to be a star. So I love guys that come out there and do that. But yeah, like the eye test thing, you knew Cooper, Flag, and Wemby. We did a million eye tests. That's why they got drafted #1.
Right, of course.
I don't really see a need for Timme and Filipowski to go out there and score 30 in the summer league. I just don't. Put them in the regular season. That's just how I feel.
Those are the type of guys who are going to play 2 or 3 games, and then obviously you see what they have, and you're going to go evaluate your other talent for who you're trying to fill for your role, your role players. But if you look at like the numbers, like I did a little bit of research a couple days ago, that there's only going to be 1 or 2 guys from the summer league roster that isn't already signed. Like, obviously you got Cooper, Flag, you got Reed Shepard, you have these guys that are already signed to big contracts. Who's coming from the summer league is going to be two-way type guys or Exhibit 10 type contracts, or they're getting their film ready to go play overseas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that just reminded me too. Dylan Harper's on the Spurs as well, so the Spurs are loaded.
And he's a dog.
Bro. Spurs are loaded.
Yeah, the Spurs are loaded. I mean,
their core is young too.
Man, I think Cam Christie is going to be a really good player too if he can figure it out. I really like his game.
They got Castle, Vassell, right, and then they got Dylan Harper, Wemby, Harrison Barnes is just a veteran guy there, but that team.
I mean, I look at Chris Youngblood too,
right?
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox on the Spurs. Yep,
that Spurs team is raw. There's a lot of good teams, bro. A lot of good young teams.
I mean, the league has so much parity now. Like, there's not just, you don't know who's going to dominate night in, night out. I mean, like you said, the Thunder in the finals lost by 40. They lost by 40 in the finals, and they still won the whole thing. It's every game's a different game. You know what I mean? It's whoever has the best overall team that can battle adversity and get through it. But I just don't think summer league is a real indicator of what you're going to get at that next level. You're right.
No, and then like every hoop fan has their favorite league of basketball. Like NBA is not my favorite league to watch.
No.
And now most NBA guys, like JJ Redick was telling Dan Hurley, I listened to, like, he's watched more college basketball in the last 2 years than ever, but he usually can't stand to watch it. But, so that's the thing. Most people would say like they don't like NBA. I lean towards like college, but I like NBA too. I just don't love the 40-point blowouts in the finals and just like being cool with it.
Right, and I know this would never happen, but I think truly would help with the product of the game to limit the games from 82 to 70 and drop the quarters from 48 to 40. I know they never do it. It lose
I'm cool with
way too much money.
Keeping the quarters and just dropping the season to like 50. I mean, come on, man. That goes back to my youth problem. Any smart coach would say these kids don't need to be playing multiple games a day, multiple days a week, organized. Like, you don't need to be going to a tournament on the weekend and playing 10 games.
Right.
So
you don't.
Yeah. So then they say, well, why are all these athletes getting injured in the NBA? They've been doing this since they're 6 years old. They're getting ran all day. They're not getting ran. They're playing too much. That's the problem.
I mean, think about it. If you play every go Mikal Bridges, for instance. Back in 2021, he played 104 games in 6 months, brother. And he's one of those guys that are playing, 38 to 40 minutes a night.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of wear and tear.
Think about this. Imagine he also has played AAU every weekend since he was 8 years old.
Right. That's so much wear on his body.
So that's the problem with youth basketball, like we talked about in the beginning, in America. That's the problem about developing players. High school coaches and teams shouldn't be playing a million tournaments a week in the summer. They should be developing their players in the summer, getting some scrimmages in. AAU shouldn't be playing 10 games in a weekend. That's why you got guys. That's why you got guys getting hurt. But no, like I see a lot of younger coaches now, like it's adopting this philosophy. Like it's just common sense stuff to me. It's like that's like main thing for me. Like common sense stuff like that.
I agree, brother. Well, I don't know, man. Do you have anything else you want to talk about on the first ever episode of EPAN to the UKV?
Man, I'm excited to be here, man. I think it's going to be a fun platform, man. I'm glad we can spend some time chopping it up, man. Two former hoopers that are still hoop heads. I'm excited to see where both our careers go. I'm getting into the coaching. You're doing the commentating stuff. You got your own little things going on. So I'm very excited to see where it goes, man.
For sure. And like you said, I mean, we're in two different avenues of life, but the same sense we're both pursuing the same thing, and that's excellence. You know,
Yeah.
we want to provide great, breakdown of not, just the high school, college, or NBA game, but the overall product of basketball in general, just in this country and in this state. We're gonna talk a lot about Division II basketball in the MEC, in the PSAC, and Pennsylvania. Like we're gonna talk about all things basketball. Like you said, we're both basketball heads.
Oh yeah, and we're not just talking about numbers, man. We're getting into it, like each side of it. We're going to be talking to coaches and players, and like I'm going to be chopping it up with these guys. Like I want to know like common sense stuff. I don't want to know like this was your record. I want to know like how you feel about this. How can you do these things? So I think it's going to be a good thing.
I agree, man. And, with that being said, my brother, Pitzer, joined by my co-host, Josh Carpenter. This is the EPAN to the UKV pod. We can't wait to see you guys again next week. We'll make sure to follow us on all of our social media pages, EPAN to the UKV, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, the whole nine. We really appreciate you guys watching this episode, and we can't wait to see you guys again. From Drew, Pitzer, and Josh, we're out.